Where's my pen? Oh, here it is. Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you call the next speaker, please?
Yes, sir. Mormer Shura, to be followed by Charles Douglas.
Good evening. I would like to thank the City Council and the Mayor for actually having the patience to deal with all that. I know you guys hear all kind of different things, and it seems like everybody's coming to the mic just beating a dead horse. So I'll make it very brief. A couple of things actually I want to talk about is the appeal that Mr. Rumbach, I guess they already made their case and left. But the thing about it is actually in their appeal, they make it on behalf of concerned American citizens. The project in front of us actually is building a mosque in Temecula off Nicholas Road. Yet, the appeal goes on behalf of concerned American citizens, not on behalf of the people who reside in that neighborhood or who are like actually neighboring or in the same area or in the same neighborhood. Concerned American citizens, most of those people they were speaking, they're coming from Marietta, Menifee, other places. So I don't see actually how is that related, whether the traffic is a problem on Winchester and Nicholas or Kaji Calabria, how does that affect them? Even Mr. Rumbach, he lives on Mira Loma Drive, which is about 5 miles away from the location of the mosque. So how does that traffic affect them? How does the flood affect them? He said they took about 1,000 people petition. I didn't see, I don't know if those 1,000 people, or even 20% or 10%, how those people are really will be concerned about this project and how it affects them and how it affects their way of life. So they might say it's all about the reason that we discussed and we keep beating on, but it's beyond that. And it's very amazing actually to see that there's a lot of people that are in the room that are so expert on traffic engineering, they're environmental experts, they're even expert on Islam. I guess next time if I have a question, I'll just have to go to those people. People talking about preferential treatment and for the mosque that other locations or other churches did not get the same treatment. Unfortunately, I moved here about 4 years ago, and the committee that working on the project, they've been working on it way before that. So it's been taking actually 5 years to bring the project in front of the Planning Commission. So if we got a professional treatment, it could have been on front of the Planning Commission or City Council 4 or 5 years ago. But there's a lot of conditions that we had to meet, going back and forth, and we do our due diligence to meet those concerns. The gentlemen actually that were talking about killing lambs, I didn't think actually it was against the law to slaughter lambs. That's how we get our meat, don't we? And there's a lady who was talking about people running stop signs, and she was doing traffic studies and her own traffic studies, and people running stop sign. I don't see like what's the connection in there. How is like the mosque, is people gonna be more willing to run stop signs? Be willing actually to drive crazy? It's in there. So how is that gonna change the fact like, well, all the things that they said, it all exists right now. And with all the comments about the traffic on Nicholas and how it's so bad, I think as a city council, it seems like actually you should shut down Nicholas because it's just horrible. And to save the people from all that, you just shut it down. And in their petition, they were talking actually about the churches already, the Calvary Baptist Church and the Grace Baptist Church. They're not having enough parking, they're parked on the street. If we actually balance it the same way, if we look at the masjid or the mosque the same way, I don't think those churches should be there because there's a problem exists, and maybe we should like move all 3 locations somewhere else. I mean, it sounds logical, but it's not all about that. It's all about what concerned American citizens are about. Concerned American citizen, it's about, if you go on their website, it's not about traffic. It's not about what floods. It's all like there's a hidden agenda behind this, and we already beat up on that. The other last comment I want to make is there's Muslims that have been living here for 12 years, take or less, right? They haven't had their own place of worship, but they've been renting places. So the question actually comes to mind, okay, if people are living here for 12 years, have anybody seen anything wrong from those people?
Mr. Shura, your time is up.
I just want to make a last comment right away. If there is no precedence to like the people living here doing anything wrong, why a new building will make them actually do something bad or transform those people? Is the building going to change the people, or the people who are going to make the building something which is good for the community? Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles Douglas, to be followed by Ehab and Mazin Radwan.
Good morning, Mayor and members of the
Good morning.
City Council. First of all, I'd like to say that this is a very impressive facility. I've been to several city halls, and this is one of the nicest ones that I've seen in Southern California. And it ties in that I read a couple months ago about the situation here in Temecula, and so I downloaded some of the files, the staff reports, and looking at the renditions, the elevations of the Islamic, the mosque. Even then, the architecture that was submitted is very impressive, and I think the architect and staff, whoever, they negotiated a really nice facility, so if it's built as what is submitted, it will look nice. I do not object to the mosque. I think the mosque, from what I've read, should be approved. However, what was submitted, and I'm somewhat confused, and even that what was submitted was an application for a mosque and a community center. And even on the note that's part of your packet, November 1st, 2010, from the architect who represents the applicant, states on page 1, phase 1 is a one-story community center. The third page, number H, in bold type, the proposed mosque and community center. It's like, okay, well then what is a community center? Because even the correspondence from the other agencies responding to your initial study, like from the Department of Environmental Health, one of many, they respond regarding the Islamic Community Center. So when the project, was submitted, obviously it is a conditional use permit which would be used to process for a religious facility, which a mosque is in the residential zone. However, in your code and your general plan, it's contrary, because even when you're reading your definition of what a community center is, in definition page 8 of 33 in your definitions, community center means a facility operated by the city which provides recreational, cultural, and other similar activities. That's a community center. If you look on the matrix, which lists the uses that are either allowed through a conditional use permit or permitted, a community center is not even listed on the matrix in residential because it's not permitted. It's pretty clear. A community center is permitted according to the matrix, assuming I've done all the research and got it right, because this is what was available off the internet in your webpage. A community center is permitted in the following designation of Public Institutional District PI. That's where a community center is. Now, I've lived 25 years in the Middle East. There is a difference between a mosque and a community center. There's no concerns about the mosque. But there is a discrepancy, and it's not a black and white issue of, yeah, it's just a mosque and religious facility and with conditional use permit. You got documentation that is otherwise, and if the commissioners, somebody should have picked up on that. And that really, I think, negates issues of traffic and such, because going through there, I think the staff did a pretty good addressing that. and from what I read from the traffic impact report that was done, I pretty much am in concurrence. The only red flag, I feel sorry somewhat for the imam because his hands are somewhat tied because they're agreeing to the condition that if FEMA determines that phase 2 of the project is in a floodplain, they have to go back and re-engineer. So you're basically telling them when the federal government bureaucrat makes a determination of where the floodplain is, I mean, how does the bureaucrat goes, yeah, it's the whole parcel. That's a significant impact. It would have been easier if you said, you know what, up front, do an environmental impact report, let's address all the issues. It has to go to FEMA, they have to respond. If they don't respond within a certain amount of time, within the year, we circulate it to all the important agencies, and if it comes back that it's still a significant issue, even with the mitigations, you can come back and do an overriding statement of overriding considerations, and we're pretty much done. I don't know where this is going to go. If someone decides, you know what, whatever your action is, we want to take it further to the next step, someone's going to bring up, and they're going to look at this and they go, what gives? If there's something else in the development code that I've missed, okay, so be it. Going through the material, I did see something that was submitted to the Planning Commission that I want to just clear for the record. Okay, I'm going to hurry up.
Yeah, your time is really up, and I'm going to have staff respond to you right now on your issues.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Patrick, would you respond?
Yes, the term community center, public community center is correct. That's permitted in an institutional zone. This is a community center that's in association with a religious facility, and so our development code lists categories of land uses. It's not exhaustive, and it provides for interpretation by the planning director. In many cases where we have religious facilities, they will have community centers or schools that are associated with the religious facility, and so there is a clear distinction between a city-run community center and a community center associated with a religious institution.
Okay.
Ehab and Mazin Radwan. Okay, Mohammed Suleiman, to be followed by Usama Abanadi. Sorry if I'm murdering these.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Mohammed Suleiman. I have been a resident of Temecula for 10 years. I'm an information technology architect. I have a degree in computer science, engineering. I currently work for a local Temecula company. And I'm here to support the proposed project for the constructing the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley. I, like many fellow members of this community, believe there is considerable evidence that suggests that the opposition we are facing has nothing to do with traffic or public safety. It's nothing more than veiled attempts to keep us from exercising our freedom of religion, and I'm here to say that we as Americans need to stand against this sort of intolerance. There are currently dozens of places of worship in Temecula, and our proposal is for one of our own. Having a place of worship for our Muslim citizens is going to bring many positive things to our community. Apart from having a place to practice our religion, this center will provide great opportunities for fellowship and exchanging ideas. Our main goal, however, is to provide a positive environment where our youth can gather and learn great values that will enable them to become good and productive citizens of this community. For the confused pastor, he didn't know nothing about Muslims, I'm going to try to schedule a meeting between you and my wife for 15 years, who's been following the Christian faith and throughout our marriage. And for the lady who's also concerned about Sharia law, my wife is still practicing Christianity, and we have 3 kids. And for the gentleman, Mr. Horn, and his wife, they're concerned about pedophilia. I encourage you to go and check the Amber website and checked the database of the names on that. Thank God, so far, I haven't seen a Muhammad name or Ali name or John name. Temecula has a long history of promoting the ideas of strong communities and new opportunities, and it states there on our logo. It has been stated that our city's atmosphere remains fueled by unusual civic spirit. I am proud to be part of such a great city. I would not lend my support to this project unless I felt that it would benefit our community. I would like to take this moment to thank our architects, my fellow committee and board members, and all of our supporters for the invaluable assistance they have provided to us. I would also like to extend our utmost appreciation to all of our community members for their wonderful generosity. It is only through the dedication and contributions of various segments of our community that we have been able to reach this wonderful point in our planning process. The positive feedback and support that we receive helps to fuel our passion and motivation to see the project come to fruition. As a resident of Temecula, I express my support of the construction of ICTV. As a Muslim, I look forward to having a place of worship where I can pray and celebrate the holidays with my family and friends. The Islamic Center will be used as it should be. Thank you for your time.
Usama Abunadi, to be followed by Abe Turhi.
Thank you, Susan. Actually, you said my name right, so I appreciate that.
Yay.
Dear Mr. Mayor, City Councilor, and respected officials, I'd love to amend you actually for the excellent and thorough work that you guys are doing tonight and the long hours. And I also would love to amend everybody that spoke tonight, because actually I was here at the old place, and I saw the level of animosity, if I may say, that was going on over there. And there's quite a bit of civilization going on, so I don't think that you offended anybody. I appreciate that they actually improved in their tongue a little bit. I trust that the traffic, parking, emergency evacuation, flood issues are all being satisfactorily addressed by assigned professionals. I humbly request to use my few minutes here to address a letter that was sent to our mayor and was submitted with the appeal, entitled "Oil and Water Don't Mix" by Mr. John Church. And he also spoke tonight, and there was quite a bit actually of improvement in his view as well. The letter started by stating how different Christianity and Islam are, and that we should not be close to each other in proximity, because Muslims have a sworn jihad against Christianity and Judaism. Islam does not have a sworn jihad against Christianity and Judaism. We are taught to love and respect people, and we love Prophet Moses and Prophet Jesus as much as we love Prophet Muhammad. In fact, the largest Islamic congregation in San Diego is wall-to-wall neighbors with a church, and both groups live peacefully for years now. I'd like to add that, having read many books about the subject, we are not so different. For many people that don't know what jihad means in Islam, it means to strive and to improve. I am so sad to see things taken out of context time and again, without upholding the moral obligation that comes with the words and our deeds. According to one statistics, there are 1.6 billion Muslims in the world today, the largest religion next to Christianity. Just to label the entire population of Islam faith to be in war against another religion because of some defected or oppressed groups is not an answer. The letter attempted to compare our exercise of civil rights of building a mosque in our beautiful Temecula with the issue of searching for a Jewish temple assumed to be under the existing Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Let's forget for a minute the value of Al-Aqsa Mosque to Muslims. I don't think for a second that we are building on top of any churches or synagogues here. In fact, the idea of you making such a comparison here today, referring to Mr. John Church, with all due respect to our Jewish brothers and sisters, makes me assume that you think Jews are better than the Calvary Baptist Christians. As an American and as a Muslim, I cannot agree with you. We are all equal. If anything, please realize that we are all people of the book and that Islam came after Christianity and Judaism for a reason. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary on the World Wide Web, infidel's first definition is one who is not a Christian or who opposes Christianity. It does not say opposes Islam. The letter says that Islam swears to convert or demise infidels. I humbly explain that it does not. There's a very common saying from our Prophet, do not invite whom you love to join their religion. It is God that invites whomever he wishes. As for demising, well, I regret to say that every deployed American has Muslim blood on his hands in the name of freedom, and that the opposite is not true for Muslims. Muslims are peaceful, except for those gangsters that hide behind Islam. But if we don't open our hearts and minds as Americans, we would still be members of the KKK or enslaving other human beings. The letter mentioned the statistics of crimes against churches. Well, there's also a long list of crimes against Muslims and mosques on a national level. A quick story about Prophet Muhammad is that the neighbor of his used to throw trash at him every time the Prophet passed by. Until one day the neighbor didn't come out to throw the trash, so the Prophet asked about him and found out he was sick. So he went to wish him well instead. That is what we are taught, and I am certain that you will find us tolerant and understanding. The letter states that we are going through a religious war. I say to that, what are you going to do about it?
Sir, you're going to have to stop now because you're at your 5 minutes time, and we have a couple of hours to go yet before we even get to the next phase.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Abe Berkey, and followed by Don. Okay.
Good evening, or should I say good morning. My name is Abu Bakr Touhi. You said it almost correctly there. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a businessman, and I'm a citizen of this great nation. And I'm also a Muslim, and I'm proud to be a Muslim. You know, I've encountered some of the people in my life, especially in this country since I've been here since I was 12 years old. They've told me that I should go back to my own country. I don't have loyalties to any other country at this point. I've been here since I was a very young child. My wife is from New Jersey. My son was born in Orange. What do you expect me to do? Take them all back somewhere else that I don't know anything about? As stated and proven by the city, this appeal is not about traffic, not about floods, it's not even about parking spaces, or even the 3,300 lamps. So what is this about? Could it be that someone is building an Islamic center? That's my question. This is a wonderful community and a wonderful city. And we have to aspire to our highest values and our highest of consciousness. This community can and will be a microcosm and an example of hope and peace and acceptance for the rest of the world that is still struggling with many injustices. Dr. Martin Luther King said in his famous speech, "I have a dream." He said that we must judge each other by the content of our character and not by arbitrary notions such as color and creed. In fact, the beauty of this country, of this great country, lies in its diversity of people through their thoughts and their ideas. Despite our differences, we have in common many universal values. Love thy neighbor, we say the same thing. Respect for human dignity and human life, and acceptance of this great diversity that we have in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look around you. Just look at the diversity in nature and the diversity in the human race. It is amazing to see that nature has fully accepted and welcomed its diversity. Yet we humans, as insignificant as we are, in the cosmology of the universe, blessed by our Creator with the highest of intellect, yet we continue to struggle with accepting of one another. This is indeed a tragedy, but we must not despair. We are people of hope, and we believe in a better tomorrow for our children and your children. We are people with the ability to overcome great challenges. Just look around and look at the human history, what we have overcome. It is indeed an amazing history. I thank you for this time, and may God bless you, and may God cleanse our hearts from hatred and bigotry and replace it with love and kindness for one another. Thank you.
Don Burizaboy, to be followed by Mahid El Sharkawi. Don is not here. Okay, then Mahib. To be followed by Nadim Rihan.
My name is Majid El-Sharkawi, and I migrated to this country with my mother and father a month after September 11th. As you all know, this was a tragic time in the nation's history. Almost 3,000 innocent lives were lost on September 11th, and that will forever be remembered. I was only 14 years old at the time, but I remember many of the events that unfolded in the months and years following the attacks. I remember that it was frightening and sorrowful time for Americans as they mourned the loss of their fellow countrymen and worried about their own security. I also remember from a personal experience that for a certain population, it was also a frightening time for other reasons as well. For the many million Muslims in the U.S., it was a frightening time because we knew that there would be people out there that would react by attacking our religion and our way of life. I saw and experienced this for myself. It saddens me that these manifestations of intolerance increased after 9/11 and unfortunately sometimes continue to this day. However, I'm also hopeful because as I witnessed the discrimination and religious intolerance, I have witnessed harmony and peaceful coexistence between people of different faiths. I have come to learn that the latter can be achieved by open dialogue so that each party better understand the other beliefs and practices. It is also achieved when each party respects the other's right to practice their religion freely, in the way that they believe is best. For those out there that are opposed to the building of this masjid or mosque, I want to make it clear that whether or not they realize it, they are opposing the development of a peaceful coexistence. I ask that everyone who is not a follower of Islam to walk into a masjid in North America versus one in Cairo or Istanbul, and they will sense difference almost immediately. While the masjid comes to life for prayer in most Muslim countries, many mosques in North America serve more than just being a mosque, but also as a community center, which makes them full of life and activities beyond prayers. They are used for weekend schools, adult classes, lectures, potluck dinners, bookstores, libraries, volunteering in the community, and social gatherings as well. All these unique features would benefit the Muslim community as a whole, especially the youth. The period of youth is a very delicate and important period in a Muslim's life. If spent in the right way, their time as youth will benefit not only them, but also others. By visiting the masjid or mosque, attending the gathering, and seeking advice and knowledge, the youth will have a foundation and a place that they can count on. Instead of hiding their faith, and they will be able to display it and be proud of it. This masjid will be a place to introduce American Muslim culture to our society at large. Thank you.
Nadim Rehan, to be followed by Abdul Kundi.
I would like to begin by thanking the City Council for allowing me to speak this morning. Before I introduce myself, I would like to share a single statistic regarding young people in America, which is the basis for my presence before you today. According to the National Center on Secondary Education and Transition, every 9 seconds, an American student between the ages of 14 and 18 drops out of high school. That means every minute, roughly 6 American teenagers give up on pursuing their education. It means that every hour, 360 American teenagers quit on themselves, their families, and our society as a whole. Personally, I I view even a single young person dropping out of high school as a tragedy. In order to overcome this growing problem, we must look to the institutions that strengthen the bonds between young people, their families, and interests of society. For me, the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley is just such an institution. I was 15 when my family relocated to Marietta. The move was difficult, to say the least. As I began my sophomore year at Marietta Valley High School, I found myself disenchanted with learning, alienated from my peers, and generally unenthusiastic about the future. Only when my family brought me to the Islamic Center here in Temecula was I able to reconnect with my sense of self and my drive to succeed. Attending youth group meetings where I met the people who are to this day still some of my greatest friends, I was able to unite with people who made me feel welcomed and supported. At community picnics, I witnessed firsthand how adults and children from all around the globe became my aunts, my uncles, my brothers, and my sisters. I began to look forward to our community potlucks, which featured dishes from South Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. With every visit to the Islamic Center, I was encouraged by my community to reach for the stars and to believe in myself. All in all, my community encouraged me to live the American dream. In the months and years since my first visit to the Islamic Center, I have carried with me the pride of a diverse, loving, and committed community. Because the values taught to me by my family, consistently reinforced by my community, I was able to avail myself from losing hope in the future. I was protected from becoming a part of the 9-second statistic. My name is Nadim Rahan, and today I am completing my bachelor's degree while working full-time at a local financial institution. The values of mutual respect, integrity, and humility, which I was taught at the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley, now inform how I approach life, how I deal with customers, and how I view every challenge with optimism and hope. As the youngest member of the ICTV's Board of Directors, I am deeply committed to sharing the gift of community with other young people in Temecula Valley. As such, it is with certainty that I say, the establishment of the Islamic Community Center here in Temecula is a necessary and significant step towards ensuring that young people in our city do not become the next high school dropout 9 seconds from now. Thank you.
Abdul Kundi, to be followed by Deanna Akari.
Honorable members of the City Council and fellow citizens, my name is Abdul Qayyum Khan Kundi. I am a business owner in the consumer technology sector. First, I would like to congratulate you on moving into this beautiful new home. And we hope that after we resolve this appeal, we'll be having an announcement of a housewarming party. When I was preparing my speech for today, the question I had was, should I prepare a defense for the building of a mosque or for the continuation of the American dream? I decided to prepare an appeal for the latter, as it is a much nobler cause. In the recorded history of mankind, there has been many great nations, including Romans, Byzantines, Egyptians, Ottoman, British, and in the 20th century, United States. One common characteristic of all these nations was openness towards other religions and cultures. But the sad fact is that most of these nations eventually faded into the dustbin of history. The common factor in their demise was closeness of their societies to accept diverse cultures. United States in 21st century is faced with this dilemma of whether to continue with its American dream that attracts new immigrants to this land of opportunity or close their doors to certain religions and cultures. The case in front of you today is a microcosm of that larger struggle. Your rejection of building this mosque and cultural center will hardly affect the lives of people who are already living without it. But it will strike a nail in the heart of the American dream, in persuasion of which members of Muslim community came here, leaving behind their childhood friends, parents, and loved ones. Last week, President Obama, in his press conference with President Hu of China said, and I quote, "We have some core views as Americans about universality of certain human rights like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly that transcends cultures." I believe he truly represented America. When I arrived in the United States in the January of 1998, I took a subway train ride in the great city of New York. After that ride of 15 minutes, I sat in a park and thought for an hour which one of those fellow riders was an American. I saw Chinese, Indian, Korean, African American, Vietnamese, white and Arab. The whole world was there. And that is the greatness of America. It is a place where people come to shine and in the process make this country great. And to get that shine, they risk everything. It is up to you today to decide if American dream is still alive or it is on a deathbed. I hope and pray that it survives, as it is the shining star which inspired Martin Luther King to say, "I have a dream." Long live America. God bless you all.
Deanna Akari, to be followed by Farah.
Farah?
Hi, my name is Dima Akari. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior at Vista Marietta High School, and I'm a Muslim. I know that I'm getting a lot of judgments from people already, and I can't say that I'm not offended by some of the things that people have said about my faith. But I strongly believe that if I expect people to listen to and respect my opinion, I must do the same. I came here to say that I'm not different from anyone else my age. I aspire to do well in the sports I participate in and to get good grades. I want to go to college, and I want to one day contribute to the world around me. But before I can hope to integrate myself in society at large, I need to feel a sense of community here and now. Anyone who feels it is their job to alienate and marginalize my peers and I through denying us a place of worship needs to realize that they're not just lowering the self-esteem of kids who long for acceptance in their school and city, but they're also crippling the aspirations of the very children who stand next to your children and pledge allegiance to the American flag every day. When I hear someone tell me that I'm not American and that I don't deserve the same rights as every other American, it upsets and angers me. But at the same time, it also instills a sense of determination in me to prove the misconceptions wrong and to show that, when given a chance, I too can be a contributing member of this community. But as I've said before, we can't hope to make progress if we can't look past things like parking and traffic, because I think this whole issue is about a lot more than just that. I truly feel that once we get past all the rhetoric revolving around this issue, the building of the mosque will be the first steps towards tolerance and acceptance in Temecula and Marietta.
Farah, to be followed by Monica Brett Sorrell.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here this morning to talk about the similarities between myself, a Muslim woman, and my fellow women from the opposition group and our main goal in life. I am a daughter, a wife, a mother, a friend, and your local neighborhood banker. My goal in life, just like each and every one of you, is family. To me, family is both the individuals I live with at home and those I work with. Both families are the very reason I strive to better myself, so we could live together in harmony and peace. My home family is the light of my life, which consists of my mother, husband, and children. As a daughter, wife, and mother, I am the role model for my children. It's my behavior and attitude about life and those around me that will mold the life of my children. Just like you, I would like to have a safe place for my children to receive their formal and religious education. In addition to their formal education, they need a place of their own to establish both religious and community values. I would like for my children, just like you, to be a positive member of this great community of ours. Just like you, I do not want my children to be raised on the streets of Temecula and Murrieta Valley. I would like for them to be a concerned citizen of this community. The only way for them to achieve this is by having a place where they could identify themselves with other children of similar faith and therefore be able to respect other children of other faith. The Islamic Center of Temecula Valley has been a peaceful member of this community for the past 15 years. Construction of this new facility will change nothing other than provide Muslims of this community a larger place of communion, a place we can call our own, a place we can come together in peace and harmony with open minds and hearts in humbling ourselves in front of our Creator, a place where our children can receive their religious education under one roof. Lastly, I would like to remind you all of the old saying, families that pray together stay together. Thank you.
Monica Brett Searle, to be followed by Cyril Wardick.
Morning.
Good morning, Mayor Roberts and Council. Thank you very much for your endurance for these many hours. My name is Monica Brett Searle. I came to Temecula at the turn of the century, this century, of course. I used to enjoy, and I still do enjoy, driving along Nichols Road, and particularly a few years back as it wandered through the rolling hills and past the little church on the left as I come through and back through wine country. I still use that road, often to avoid the busy traffic that is on Marguerite and on Winchester. It does cut off a fair amount. I think a lot of the problem has been that I'm hearing, and I'm aware of it too, that there's a high school close by, students coming in and out, game nights, and not just football. There are seasons where there's soccer, basketball, and other entertainment that goes on at the high school. Nichols Road is impacted by this, by youths who will, they will tear the motor cars as they go by. On the other side, we're about a block or so away, we have a senior group who sometimes use the exits onto Nichols Road, creating more traffic with the egress. It is also a flood zone, and if we're aware, and we've heard so much about the warming of the globe warming, and we have seen how floods have impacted different parts of the world, we cannot expect a little stream or a dead dry bed to stay a dead dry bed. That can rise to many feet. I was living in Orange County in '71 when the Santa Ana River almost overflowed its banks. So I think we really have to take into consideration this. I know people would like to make it a religious issue, and there are some issues in that. And I have come from England, and I have seen, and I'm going to touch on that aspect of it, I have been a victim of discrimination. I've been spat on. I've had rocks thrown at me. But I think that makes me stronger, makes me stand taller. to withstand that type of thing. But for my England, my birth country, I am brokenhearted to see what has happened when I see them crying out in the streets. And I have to say, it is the Muslims who have said, and I see their flags and their placards waving, "We would decapitate you. We're coming to you, America. You're next. We will fly the flag of Islam above the White House." Now, I have Muslim friends and acquaintances. My cousin lived and worked in Kuwait. My daughter was in Saudi during the Desert Storm. So she has experienced the different aspects of the Muslim faith. I've met some wonderful people here tonight who are Muslims, and like I believe Pastor T said, some do not always know their full Quran as we do not always know the full Bible, and it is often taken out of context. There have been over 1,000 mercy killings in America. Unfortunately, I can't give you the time period, but only last year in Texas, 2 young girls were murdered by their father because they were paying too much attention to Americans and American life. And I wrote this poem. I wrote it back in 1998. It was shortly after we were in Afghanistan. And this was based on what I had heard through the media. Afghanistan, white flag of pure Islamic society. Afghanistan, Afghanistan, look out, the Taliban man is near. General Department of Virtue and Elimination of Vice. Taboos on playing cards, music and kites. Cover your face, close the door, the Taliban man is here. Afghanistan, Afghanistan, Taliban, Taliban. There is a cry that echoes through the night, and the cries seep deep into the stones. It is an echo of the night. Cover your face, close the door. The Taliban man is near. Afghanistan, Afghanistan, Taliban, Taliban, cries deep into the stones, creeps through the bars of Pula Chakari prison, where men who shaved their faces lie. Taliban, Taliban, keepers of a pure society. Afghanistan, Afghanistan, Taliban, Taliban, women hide in their homes, cover their faces when the Taliban is near. There is a thud of sticks and cries seep deep into the stones. Taliban, Afghanistan, Matwala, pure Islamic society. Afghanistan, Afghanistan, cries seep deep into the stones.
Thank you.
Sarah Wardick, to be followed by Patrice Lines.
Good morning, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Sarah Wardock, and I am a resident of Marietta, and I'm a teacher in Temecula. In the field of education, our mission is to instill in our students tolerance, respect, and an understanding of people of different cultures, races, and religions. We teach our children to honor their freedoms, such as freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Therefore, I stand tonight before you and ask you to honor and uphold these great freedoms. I plead that you do not let unjustified and ill-calculated issues, such as failures of traffic studies, flood issues, and environmental issues, to be used as a blanket to cover up the intolerance and fear of the practice of the religion of Islam. I beg and I plead to each of you, please do not send me back to my students. Please do not let me go back and tell them that I am not allowed to practice my religion as they are allowed to practice theirs. Because there's some people in this room who consider themselves experts and have decided that I am not allowed to do what I see fit for myself and practice my religion. As an educator, I believe that our lack of tolerance stems from our lack of understanding and our lack of knowledge. Therefore, I invite all non-Muslims to find out more about Islam, not from Christians and not from Muslim converts or Christian converts, but from practicing Muslims, people who actually practice the religion, who know the religion and actively partake in the religion and read the Quran. So I invite you to please speak to me or any of the other Muslims in this room, and let's grow in our understanding of the religion versus some of the stereotypes we have. Thank you.
Patrice Lines, to be followed by Robert Skiff.
Hi. Good morning. I'd like to know how to use this to show pictures before I start. Thanks. Where do you? You have to put it all right over there. Good morning. John Adams said, "Facts are stubborn things." You state the mosque community center continuing use permit is consistent with the general plan. I would like to offer the following inconsistencies. The City of Temecula general plan under mitigate flood hazards PS7 states you are to prohibit development of any kind within the floodplain portion of the 100-year floodplain. And as you can see, Nicholas is in the 100-year floodplain. Aside from the mosque site being in the hazardous 100-year floodplain, the soil it will be constructed on excuse me, I'm really tired. The soil it will be constructed on will be fill, and this will create an island. This is not to be allowed in floodplain management. I've checked with civil engineering. And because it causes flooding to surrounding property, and also the land is in the seismic liquefaction zone due to the faults under our city. During the fourth day of the rain in December, I went out to the proposed site, and you've seen this picture, but I will show you the site. There was incredible flooding everywhere. The mosque site was flooded in some areas, worse than other areas, but basically the land was a wetland. All sewers were backed up. This is a picture of the corner of the street, and it's flooded. And this is a picture of the sewers. They were backed up and creating ever more flooding. Okay. The flooding was, the sewers were not draining on Cali Calibre, Cali Medusa, and Villa Lobo. The Santa Gertrudis wash was raging water, the ground eroding ever closer to Nicholas Road. The ground was oversaturated and crumbling under my feet. There was a muddy stream running through the property to gain access to the Gertrudis, as water will seek the path of least resistance. And the water was dissecting everywhere, including over the street. At the top of Via Cantrell off Nicholas, I viewed something very dramatic. There are at least 5 or more lakes, and this is Rorpaw you're looking at. Okay, this is really a serious problem and needs immediate attention. There are 5 or more lakes of pooling rainwater, and this still exists to today. It's a little down, but it's the same. I saw 2 inadequate storm drains, not able to drain the Rorpaw swampy land. The water eventually makes it through each side of Nicholas, on the one side to the Gertrudis and on the other side creating creeks on private property. This water is setting us up for disaster. Our city and or the mosque need to provide funds to put in adequate storm drains, fix the Sander Gertrudis to an appropriate wash that can handle this water load, and widen Nicholas Road to the 4 lanes in the general plan. Then continue it through to Butterfield Stage and correct these storm problems. I have read about phase 1 and 2, and that you want to relieve traffic on Nicholas and then deal with the Nicholas. If you want to deal with Nicholas's traffic, deal with Nicholas, not the surrounding streets. In other words, you're going to open up surrounding streets that are going to then dump traffic onto Nicholas. I think it's really important for you to widen Nicholas. This is a life and safety issue, as we have a major drainage problem as well as inadequate potholed, traffic overburdened rural street. Please take these problems seriously, because if this is the effect after 4 days of rain, what will happen in the proposed 40-day arc storm that scientists predict? I am asking you to review these issues and to postpone the mosque until this can all be dealt with. Thank you.
Robert Skiff. Robert Skiff. Okay, he's not here. To be Mohammed Khalid. Okay, he's here. Okay, great. To be followed by Amy Price. Oh, Pina, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Good morning. Good morning, Council, the Planning Commission, Honorable Mayor, and attendees this morning. Appreciate your patience for going through that. My name is again Mohammed Khaled. I have been living in Temecula before the city of Temecula was incorporated in 1989. I was here since 1988. I have seen the growth and all the changes over the years, and I consider them, all of them are great. I came to this city because I heard from people in San Diego, it is going to be a great place to raise the children, great schools, and great neighborhood. I have seen only 1 traffic light in Rancho California Road, and I have only seen 1 grocery store, Stater Brothers. And I have seen the changes, and I have to commend the city official over and over, did a great job in this city. Even though we experience a lot of traffic issues and other issues, throughout the country we see that everywhere. And these are our challenges, and this is what we have to make it better. It doesn't get better just by complaining. It gets better by giving a constructive criticism, and for all of us to make it better. Why the Islamic Center? And I guess I'm to be blamed, because I lived in Cali Medusa near Nicholas Road for 18 years. I have been living now 23 years in this valley. 1994, when my mother-in-law passed away, I looked for a place to grieve, and the friends and the community. I could not find any. It desperate myself and my wife how we can build a community around here. We looked for friends of the same faith. We found them slowly. We started praying in my house, I'm proud to say. We started building the first board, and I was one of the founding board members, I'm proud to say. We graduated 2 children of ours from great high school today, and they gone through the colleges and university. And I'm also proud to say that my son, eldest son, served in the Army Reserve and served in Afghanistan. And today he's trying to finish his education in humble state. I have been employed with a great company for nearly 35 years. I'm fortunate I've never been unemployed. What is happening today, in my opinion, is a nightmare. It's a dream. It happened to be a bad dream. And I trust that this dream is going to go away. Tomorrow is going to sunshine. We're all going to feel better. Because ultimately, mosque will be built. And I trust that. Because the official will make the right decision. Because they're elected to make the right decision, not with the emotion. I worked 35 years with the great people, and none of them are Muslim. All of them are Christian, Jew, and other faith. And I get their love and attention every day. Today I attended the funeral. One of my friends, 35 years we worked together in Brea, California. I came from there. I have not seen any Muslim over there. I have seen all my Christian friends. I went to the service. I went to the cemetery, and we prayed for his soul. He passed away after working 38 years with the company, a great individual. So, what we're learning here today, why I say this is a nightmare, in my opinion, because I know how great Americans. I came when I was young, very young. Because Americans never hold their wallet back. They reach deep when there's a trouble all over the world. Americans never question when they were helping the flood victims in Pakistan, never ask a question, are they Muslim or Christian? But they helped because people were suffering. America never held back. When Bangladesh, the cyclone victims, they send their armies and navies and all that and help out. These are the Americans that I know. That's why I'm calling it, this is a nightmare, but this is going to go away. Tomorrow it's going to be better. Islamic Center, because of the Islamic Center, I have seen, one of them spoke today, Nadim Rehan. And he was our first youth group. When we built the place in the Front Street, 2800 Front Street, he was there. Along with many others, they graduated from the universities and colleges and moved on to their profession in engineering and the banking and investment and so forth.
Mr. Khalid, your time is up.
I just want to say we should not be held accountable for what happened in the past. We should be looked at as a good citizen of this community and this country, and we should give them the opportunity to make our children and ourselves and everybody for this community a better people and better citizen. Thank you very much.
Amy Pina, to be followed by Heather Frichet. Sorry.
We've done 50 now.
Okay, good evening, thank you, or good morning. I'm nervous, so my voice is shaky, excuse me, and I was going to attempt to write a letter in the last few days, but procrastinating, never got around to it, but I have jotted down very, very many comments this evening, or points that I would like to bring up. The fact that honor killings do not happen in the United States with Sharia law. Has anybody watched the news? Does anybody see what happens? When the individual earlier brought up honor killings, automatically there was the point of off topic. Okay, well, if we have to sit to listen to stories about Easter bunnies and Santa Claus, then we can certainly sit and listen about honor killings that are happening in the United States. Do you individuals know what Sharia law is? I don't proclaim to be an expert on Sharia law, but what I've read up on in the last year is very scary, and you need to get yourself knowledgeable on about what it is. I have very many things to talk about, but there's an excerpt from a book in here, and I just lost my place. Okay, this book is written by Brigitte Gabriel. In case you don't know her name, she is trying to educate every level of government on what Sharia law is. And if you will indulge me for a minute, I have a couple of paragraphs to read. In November 2001, just a few short months after September 11th, a detailed document was found in a villa in Switzerland by Swiss authorities. This document outlined a 100-year plan for radical Islam to infiltrate and dominate the West and establish an Islamic government on earth. In counterterrorism circles, this document became known as the Project. This plan was conceived and written by the Muslim Brotherhood, the world's oldest and most sophisticated Islamic terrorist group. The Muslim Brotherhood was created in Egypt in 1928 by Hassan al-Banna and boasts 70 offshoots of terrorist organizations operating throughout the world, including here in the United States. Its doctrine states Allah is our objective, the Prophet is our leader, Quran is our law, jihad is the way, dying is the way of Allah is our highest hope. And I'm going off the top of my head here, so I apologize if I'm not eloquent like other people were speaking. The fact that it keeps getting brought up that we're racist people, a few of you that are sitting here had made the comment after the Planning Commission that evening, we are not racists and bigots because we are speaking out on what we think and has actually been told to us by the individuals that are going to do it to conquer the United States, and that they do not like our constitutions. If you want to come here and not abide by our laws, then you can just turn right back around and find someplace else to live. We have a constitution in this United States that needs to be followed. And another thing, I am sorry for the people that feel like they're picked upon and, everybody is a bigot against them. It may not be the people in this room, but we do not know what's going on inside the mosque. This has been proven time and time again about how I'm speaking, please, thank you. You had your turn. It may not, the individuals in this room that are Muslim may not be the radical people of the Islamic faith, and that's wonderful. Great. But the fact of the matter is do not get all indignant with the people that are worried when your brothers and sisters of your own faith are doing things to America and other parts of the world, because those of us that are very fearful have justified reasons for being fearful. And I think the United States needs to wake up. This is not about religion. If you want to go ahead and pray to your God and believe what you believe, that's fine. But when part of your religion is Sharia law that goes against our Constitution, that does not work in the United States of America. And I guess I could go on and on. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now because I've got chicken scratch on my paper here.
Well, you're just about out of time anyway. So
okay, all right.
Perfect time.
All right.
Heather Frisky. I'm sorry.
It's Pritchie.
Pritchie, thank you. To be followed by Bashir Agazawi.
There you go. Good morning, council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I don't have a history lesson for you guys. I'm sure we're all tired of that. But what I do want to say is I have a question in regards to the mosque. We all are aware of September 11th. And I am aware that all of the terrorists that committed those acts were practicing in mosques that were built in the United States. My concern is a church is it's a safe haven. You can't have a law or a person of law go in and investigate inside of a church. There's no way for us to find out who is going where. I don't want it built in my neighborhood. You know, my grandfather was a World War II veteran. I have walked the soils of Manzanar myself. I've gone to the Museum of Tolerance. I have a lot of understanding and I have a lot of empathy. Raising a child with autism teaches you that. I care for all the people in this room. We all have, you know, our faith, but I don't want it built in Temecula. It makes me feel fearful. We don't know it's an open door. It's an open door for things that are bad that could happen. You know, we don't know, like I said, the terrorists that were involved in September 11th practiced in mosques that were built in the United States. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Here, Al-Ghazawi.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, city staff, greeting to all of you. I'm here. My name is Bashir Al-Ghazawi, and I'm a member of the management staff at a semiconductor company here in Temecula. And I'm here today to represent my family and to represent my Muslim community in the city of Temecula. My family and I, we moved to Temecula back in 2000, February of 2000. We fell in love with this city, right? When we first made our purchase, we purchased our house. The neighbors around us, they came over and they introduced themselves. They brought some small gifts with them. But one of the gifts that they really brought with them that stayed in my mind is a loaf of bread. And a loaf of bread always signifies in every culture that friendship and harmony. And we cherish that gift. And to this day, I still remember that. We love the city of Temecula. We enjoy what the city of Temecula has to offer to its citizens. We enjoy going to the farmer's market on Saturday, enjoy the fruit and the vegetables, the food that the local people make. Right? We like to support our local farmers. We like to go to the festivities in the old town. We enjoy the painting on the streets or the hot rods vehicles. We enjoy everything Temecula has to offer. We love it. My kids are born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, but they always look at Temecula as their hometown. They attend Northern Arizona University, okay? But they always, when they come over here, they are coming home. That's their home. The community, the Muslim community that we belong to over here, they were so inviting and so friendly. It really goes beyond the friendly. Some of them are really as close as my own brothers, okay? And we really enjoy enjoying their friendship and their love. My job took me to Arizona for a few years, but I always had it in my mind, someday I'm going to come back to Temecula. And sure enough, through a friend of mine who is non-Muslims, provided me with the opportunity, and I came back. Two reasons for that. Of course, job. Another reason was the Temecula community, the citizen of Temecula was another reason that we came, and specifically our Muslim community. I could not ask for a better community, a Muslim community, than the community that I belong to. Our friends, they come very often over here to visit us in California. Of course, they have plans to go to Disneyland, SeaWorld, the beautiful Zoo of San Diego, but we always put it on the schedule. One day has to be spent in Temecula. We go visit down Old Town. We take her a drive to the wine country. They enjoy that part of the country, town. One thing that I really enjoy, I'm at a stage right now, I'm raising 2 grandkids, and I love to spend the Saturday afternoon at the Temecula duck pond. Feed the ducks, play with them on the park. It's a beautiful town. I really cannot choose any better town than Temecula. And I hope and I pray that the city of Temecula, through its officials and citizens, will continue to live up its logo, all the tradition and new opportunities. And with that, I hope that you will make the right decision for the citizen of this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Girardi, to be followed by Lane McKeener.
Yeah, my name is Michael Girardi, and I'm a resident of Menifee, which is a part of the greater community of which Temecula has a leading role. I join in the opposition to the subject resolution for all of the reasons previously stated, not simply traffic or flooding related. And I have one question for the council. Since your position seems to be that this community is defenseless against the establishment of strongholds promoted and funded by foreign political ideologies hostile to the United States Constitution, so long as they wear the face of a religion, or pronounce the incantation of bigotry, What do you plan to say to the people in the event that we opponents of the proposed structure are right? You are wrong. And the proponents have an undisclosed agenda other than the mere establishment of a house of prayer. I urge this council to think very carefully about its supervening duty to protect the safety and security of this city, the greater community, the state, and the nation, and to act accordingly. Thank you.
Lane McKeener, to be followed by Alma McClung.
Good morning, councilman and councilwoman. I wish I could say to the Islam group here tonight, welcome to Temecula. We are proud to have you here, but I cannot voice that when our freedoms and our Constitution are being abused by using them against us to try and change our schools, our way of life, and our government. I can't say welcome with honesty. With that said, why would our city even consider an Islamic center or any facility of this size to be built where the infrastructure cannot accommodate it without causing a great deal of stress on our community? Some of the issues at hand are, first, I am offended being called a bigot just because I am concerned about the traffic where I live. The infrastructure in the area of Winchester and Nicholas is not conducive to the building of any facility that would bring in more people and more cars. I understand Friday night is the largest prayer night for the center, right when Chaparral High School has its football and basketball games and other activities. The traffic on Winchester is congested on most days, but Friday nights are already almost impossible. On January the 18th, on Tuesday, there was a bad wreck on Nicholas and Winchester about 5 p.m. Cars could not even exit from the freeway because of the traffic. I understand the traffic study was not complete and did not indicate the traffic at peak times or accidents in this area. Nicholas is heavily traveled on the other side, to the other side of town. It is in disrepair. It is 2 lanes with 2 churches and possibly 1 more. There is not adequate room for parking already, much less for a 25,000 square foot facility and more people to be built on Nicholas. Parking is already at a premium. Heaven help if there be an emergency on Calabrie. In the past, where I used to live in Walnut, the people that attended the mosque just parked wherever to accommodate their parking needs. I believe this is also an issue in Corona. Number 2, noise. I live in a very quiet, serene community about a mile from the proposed Islamic Center. To have minarets announcing call to prayer 5 times a day, starting early in the morning, would be considered an encroachment on the surrounding area of the proposed center. On October the 5th, 2005, the city of Temecula passed a city noise ordinance that states that 45 decibels is the most that is allowed in a residential section. Will this ordinance be upheld? Safety of the community. I have deep concern because the Imam Harmash refuses to denounce Hamas and Sharia law. In the meeting on December the 1st, I was accused of being fearful, plus some other things. Near the end of the December meeting, in the area where we were seated, young Muslim men came and sat behind us and whispered slurs as the last speeches were being made. To me, this is not moderate. Yes, I'm fearful. I have read numerous books written by Muslims, and I'm considered a kafir, which means non-believer and enemy. The Islamic religion is the only religion I know that has come to America, I assume, for some kind of freedom, but wants to bring its own law, Sharia law, and impose it on our country. The claim is that American Constitution is man-made, which it is, and Sharia law is Allah's law, and it supersedes man-made law. This is poison for this country. In my opinion, Islam refuses to assimilate into the society of America, desiring their own community, their own law, Sharia law, and in the future possibly trying to force it on America. They call themselves moderate Muslims, but I do not see them condemning those connected with Hamas, jihad, or terrorists. I would like to read a quote by an authoritative Muslim spokesman. "Thanks to your democratic laws, we will invade you. Thanks to our religious laws, we will dominate you." Page 51 in the Islamization of America. In my opinion, from what I have seen all over America and Europe concerning mosque, speaks so loudly I cannot hear a word in defense of this center. Thank you.
Alma McClung, to be followed by Jeannie Sarmiento.
Thank you for staying awake.
Who says I'm awake?
It is late, and I'll make it as quick. And as you can see, my sheet is full of chicken scratches too. So if I wander off, please, in your own intelligent minds, put it back in order.
Okay.
I want to say that freedom of speech works two ways. And if I say anything that's going to offend these people over here or here, don't boo me, don't stop me. I'll be in the hall. Confront me there. My name is Alma McClung, and I live within 5 miles of the mosque under consideration to be built. I'm opposed to this building because of two things. Now, I'm not going to go into everything because it's been said over and over and over, but I did make this note. In that area, French Valley Airport, the airplanes come over. Are they going to complain because the planes make too much noise because of their prayer? We have to contend with it at our churches that are in that area, so I hope that will not become an issue. The parking. Now, it sounds right now that parking seems adequate, but you're allowing for 150 people. Now, what happens when those 150 people ask 10 people each to come visit? Then where are they going to park? Yeah, there's ample parking for the members, but they're visitors, and I certainly hope they have visitors, otherwise their religion will die. Okay. Let's see. I am not, nor have I ever been afraid of other people's religion. I've never been afraid of the Lutherans, the Presbyterians, the Baptists, the Catholics, the Jews, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormons, or anything else that I have forgotten. But I am terrified of Sharia law. I'm not terrified of Muslims. I'm terrified of their law. These people seem very nice. I've seen them in the hallway. They smile just like I do. They wave just like I do. They don't seem that different. But their law is different, and that terrifies me. Somebody said something about our boys would have to accept the blood of their people. Well, who the heck is going to share the blood of the people that died on 9/11? Now, these lambs that were slaughtered, somebody over here yelled out, well, don't you eat? Did they eat 30 lambs? Did they? Okay, well, you'd have to prove it to me, honey, because I don't think 150 people can eat 30 lambs, okay? Okay, now, have you considered taxes? And as I said, if you don't like what I'm saying, see me in the hall. Don't stop me here, okay? Because I'm on a roll.
Well, you got a minute and a half, so roll fast.
Okay. Have you considered taxes? Now, you know Yeah, you know as well as you're sitting there that there's going to be people leaving this city because of this. Now, maybe not many, but there will be. There's a decline in property value, of course. That's why they're going to leave. Less people, less taxes. Less tax dollars going into the Temecula coffers. Can the city afford it? This is not a threat. It's just a statement of fact based on other areas and the impact these buildings have in other communities. I am afraid of people who call me an infidel. I am afraid of people who dance in the street in happiness over 9/11 and other horrific events throughout the world. I know, all Muslims did not do that, nor do all Muslims adhere to Sharia law. The problem is we can't tell which is which, nor can they tell what I am or what you are by looking at us. So we have to be aware, and that I think is what a lot of people have said, be aware of what you're okaying. Dr. Phil, he says, we can judge future behavior by past behavior. Come on. And I've heard about the planning committee and the staff that did all that stuff at the beginning. Well, you've heard the old saying, the best laid plans of mice and men, they don't always work out. So please, please, just don't okay this thing without checking into everything that's been said tonight on both sides.
Okay, your time is up.
And I'm done.
Huh?
And I am done. I can't think
thought
of
you
it.
were.
Yes, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Jeannie Sarmiento. Jeannie Sarmiento. Okay, Josh Burns. Josh Burns. Chris Carrera. Lorena Bennett. Looks like Lorena is here, and she will be followed by Bridget Green.
Got a name on there that I don't have?
Can we ask Susan how many more we have, Mr. Roberts?
City Clerk, would you tell me how many more you have?
We are on number 69 of 112.
Okay, people. We're going to stay here.
Good morning. My name is Serena Bennett. I am a citizen of Temecula. Following are my concerns. Noise and traffic, as we've mentioned before. The guaranteed noise from the screaming minarets and the traffic congestion is a serious and valid concern. Traffic on Nichols and surrounding streets all feed onto Nichols, then Winchester, creating a virtual parking lot. When it rains, the flooding conditions are serious and emergency accessibility and evacuation is impossible. Your traffic study is flawed. The minarets. Minarets are equipped with powerful, loud speakers, required to call people to pray 5 times per day from early morning to evening every single day. Minarets worldwide must tower and dominate over all other structures. They are offensive, disturbing, annoying as they shout their perceived dominance throughout the community and interrupt daily lives. Mosque proponents promise not to use their offensive minaret calls. Then why build them? Based on this, I want to urge all our churches to add towers and loudspeakers and ring their bells at the same time the minarets start their offensive screaming. Parking. A church of 25,000 square feet can accommodate more than 1,100 people. Therefore, the less than 200 planned parking spaces for this facility are totally inadequate and should be recalculated to accommodate the mosque density, which can easily exceed 300% greater than an average church. In addition, there was no mention to the schoolrooms and times children will be transported to and from classes in this constricted area. Odd, all this is for 150 families. The double standard. The obvious double standard is insulting to this community. It is common knowledge that many regulations were waived to allow the building of this mosque. Setting this precedent, the citizens of this community now have the right to expect the same privileges to build a Christian, Jewish, Greek, or other church and/or structure privately desired in Temecula. Community compatibility. These plans show a large, hugely domed structure with questionable high windows and overheight minaret towers. Where are the city's plans for the continuity and compatibility of buildings within the city to avoid incompatible and offensive structures? This design is suitable for the Middle East and not suitable or consistent with the Mediterranean styles of Temecula and America. The intent and design of this building is to exude dominance, an Islamic statement. It's distasteful and exhibits complete disrespect for this community and America. Property values and plight. The property owners of Nickel Valley purchased those properties for the rural life. With a mosque intruding upon them, their daily screechings, customs, and added traffic congestion will ruin the area, the lifestyles, and all property values will diminish. Our citizens and churches will move out and thus accomplish the Islamic goal. Our wineries. Our wineries will eventually be destroyed, as the Muslims have done everywhere they infiltrate. Islamists will not tolerate liquor, pigs, and dogs. It is stated that they will confiscate and kill our pets. What plans does the city have to protect our wineries, our livestock and pets, and the future of this area? It is well known that mosques are centers for terrorists, as announced frequently by the news. This imam is an operative of the Islamic Brotherhood and will not denounce Hamas as a terrorist organization. Does that not speak volumes? The reputations of mosques precede them, and what they teach is in direct conflict with our Constitution, religions, and American life. The community is asking why these facts are being ignored by this city council. To ensure the safety of this community, this mosque should be investigated without notice regularly by our state and federal authorities, as well as the cell in Winchester off of Simpson. I would urge everyone to get educated and get a copy of the Quran and Sharia law for non-Muslims. Learn about the shocking, grossly alarming, barbaric laws and customs of Islam and the threat it poses on the health and welfare of our community. We have experienced a few beheadings, stonings, suicide bombers, honor killings. Currently, our kids are being forced to pray to Allah in our public schools. Wake up, people. They are masters of deceit. They hide under religion when it's a political ideology with an agenda to brainwash society. The disdain from the City Council is appalling. Ignoring the gruesome worldwide facts related to the infiltration of Islamic mosques, Sharia law, and the dire consequences communities suffer, this City Council is committing an unconscionable crime against the community, our state, and our country. Here's a fact. While our kids, husbands, and wives are being killed in Iran and Pakistan, our military is not allowed to utter a word against Muhammad. God help us now. Thank you.
Can I just say, sir, go sit down, please. Huh? Yeah, if you don't want to come up, just when your name's called, just don't come up. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Just to let people know that came in later and filled out requests to speak and are going to do the full 5 minutes. Way back about 8 o'clock yesterday, there was a full report by our planners, and we discussed a lot of issues. The council just got raked over the coals for the past 5 minutes on a lot of stuff that we already handled. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you came in late and you're going to think that there's going to be loudspeakers on top of the minarets, and it's really taller than the other churches. There's so much wrong about that we've already brought out a long time ago. We're up here to represent you, and we listen to you, and that's why there's been a lot of changes already. But don't don't rake us over the coals, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning when we've already made a lot of changes to help. And I think as we go through this process, we hope to do some more. So just a word of caution, if you know, because it kind of hurts, really. But I guess I've got big shoulders and I can take it. Here we go again.
Bridget Green, to be followed by Richard Overton.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make it very brief. I am the person that caused the ruckus, I think, and started a traffic study. I'm a concerned community citizen, and I do have over 1,000 signatures from the community and in the area, and I live on Walcott and Nicholas. My glasses are the wrong ones today, so I'll try and read this carefully, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of the things that have been said. The traffic to the 215 and the 15, everyone is aware of, at 5 a.m. it starts, and it really backs up on Winchester. The report includes traffic flow in all the relevant surrounding streets that provide access to the main through streets, for example, Serafina Road, St. John's Road, to Murrieta Hot Springs are not addressed. The city put in a speed limit of 25 miles per hour, and also there's a fine of $350 through that community. So when they come down on Medusa, they cross on Nicholas, and those studies were not done, and they go back the back way. Also, General Kearney is a shortcut to avoid Winchester and Nicholas. These are the roads and shortcuts that have been established by the local citizens due to the major congestion on Winchester, Nicholas, and the areas around Nicholas. Maybe General Kearney should be opened up through Meadowview, and maybe that will ease it off, because Margarita is jammed because of the high school traffic coming in and out. The report does not include the eventual anticipated increased traffic flow from new housing and is not added on, and there will be more, including Roripaw. Now they have included the 2% in the recent traffic study, which I haven't seen, that the gentleman earlier spoke about. Buses from the schools travel 4 times back and forth. Trucks and buses should not be traveling through a residential community. Buses to private schools make several trips every morning and afternoon. Nicholas Lane is a 2-lane road with steep incline, no passing lane is available, and also a 90-degree turn with no visibility. The report must be redone to include those factors. And I remember the city talking about having horse trails and bike paths, and I don't know if that's in the general plan, but it would need a lot of redoing, and maybe the storm drains first before they fix Nicholas. And I've been told that they cannot repair Nicholas, so they keep patching the potholes until they put the storm drain system in that comes down from Roripaw. So it's a huge issue, and in conclusion, the city is obligated for public safety and traffic control to provide a revised traffic report that contemplates the above factors. I also have noticed lately that the buses are now backed up, and a lot of people get impatient and they go over the double yellow line and pass me up, and it causes major traffic accidents if this continues. And the speed limit is 45, 30, and 15. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Richard Overton, followed by Karen Elhans.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I live on Cali Medusa, and right now there's hundreds of cars a day that travel that street. Not at 25 miles an hour, which it's posted at, but more like 50, 60. And I never heard anything on the traffic study that addressed Cali Medusa at all. And that, I don't care if Butterfield goes through, wherever it goes through, people are going to take Cali Medusa because it's the quickest route. Now that I understand where the mosque is going to be built, it's right beside Cali Medusa. So the obvious route that they're going to take to get there is Cali Medusa for all those people that are south of La Serena. So I urge you to consider maybe an alternate place to build this. I'm not opposed to them being built. I've heard all kinds of things all night long about how this or that, or it had nothing to do with the study and with what's happening here tonight. It's just people venting what they feel, and that's their constitutional right. But I urge you to consider what this is going to do to Cali Medusa. It's hard to even back out of your driveway in the morning. It's hard to even stop at the mailbox to pick up your mail before you go home, because it's hard to open your door because you always have to look around at all the traffic. And I was just thinking, if 150 families, if half of them add to the traffic, which would be, let's say, 75 cars, now the hundreds that are going are now approximately 300. And as the traffic increases for various other things that are going on down there, we're talking Cali Medusa being a major thoroughfare instead of a residential community and a residential street. And so I urge you to consider that part of it. In my estimation, you should be blocking it off and routing people around someplace else. But regardless of what you do, it sounds to me like you've already made up your mind anyway. So, I waited 8 hours here to speak my piece, and I've done that. But I still urge you to at least consider what this does to, I'm one of those people that are really affected by this. I bought my house 2 years ago there, and I've seen the traffic increase and increase again. I've been passed on that street a couple of times because I was going too slow, which meant 25 miles an hour. So I just urge again that you consider the impact that it has on the people that are actually talking about the real issues here, which are the traffic. That's my issue. And that Cali Medusa stay a residential street and not a corridor to get through the fastest way over to Winchester or wherever they're going. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, well, I can tell you that Cali Medusa has a long history, not just 2 years when you moved in, but even before Temecula was incorporated. That was a major issue when it was a county road of trying to get the speed down. I'm thinking that with all the changes we're going to have on Butterfield Stage, putting it through, and some other major improvements, maybe we should have a workshop down in your neighborhood at a local school, and have our planners come out and just show you in the very near future what we have planned down there, because I think it's going to help.
The proof is in the cars.
Yeah. Well,
and
we're ready.
Honestly, the only police presence I see there are kind of traveling through to get to, I guess, the Southwest Detention Center. Okay. For the most part.
We've got about 6 motorcycle officers we can put down there if you remember to keep it at 25 miles an hour.
Well, I think that you could probably make a couple $1,000s a day if you had them down there.
Well,
I'm very serious when I say that.
I am too, and I think that with these improvements we need to do immediately. I'd like to at least offer that to the people that live on Cali Medusa and show them that what we're going to do. So
That's a good idea.
yeah, and we'll send out, we'll put it in the newspaper and maybe send out postcards to people who live on Cali Medusa too.
In case I didn't introduce myself, my name is Richard Overton.
I've got it right here.
Can I just...
sure, go ahead.
I've been sitting here having talked for so long, I think I just have to exercise my voice a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's the mayor is right. This has been an issue on that street for a long time, and it's almost anecdotal, but it must have been 8 or 10 years ago now. We had an awful lot of people from Calle Medusa who came to address us one night and talked about the problems of cars going too fast, and they implored us to put speed bumps on the road. And we didn't want to do it because we know from our own experience and our traffic engineers' experience that they generally don't work. But they really wanted them, and we tried to be responsive, and so we put the speed bumps up, and 6 months later they came and implored us to take them out. So it's just, the solutions are difficult. That's my only point, but we're certainly more than happy to sit down with everybody who lives on that street and see what we can come up with.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Karen Elmans? Karen? No. Okay. Julie Gilbert? Okay, to be followed by Hussam Alouche. Can I put this way?
Ooh, that's a big one. Okay. Yeah, they can zoom in. Just leave it right there, and we'll focus in on it.
Okay.
It should be up on the screen here.
Yes, it is. Okay. Good morning, Mayor Roberts and council people. Thank you for being here. This diagram, this very tacky, simple diagram, just lays out as everybody now is so well acquainted with, the situation of the mosque property and the other two churches that exist in that area. And Cala Calibra, as you know, is a cul-de-sac only about 350 feet long. And across from the mosque property is Calvary Baptist. Both the mosque and Calvary have exits, as has been pointed out, or egress or ingress, only onto this tiny little cul-de-sac. And Grace Prez also has an exit onto Nicholas, just a few yards down from the cul-de-sac. Calvary now has 116 parking spaces. Grace Prez has 151. And the mosque, when complete, will have, I believe, 181 or 181. So the problem that I am concerned here with is since there will be many hours when all three of these facilities will have concurrent operations, in the event of an emergency situation when all three would need to be immediately evacuated, such as a fire or a bomb threat, you would have almost 300 cars simultaneously trying to exit the mosque and the Calvary parking lots onto the cul-de-sac, and those 300 would then try to exit onto Nicholas. Meanwhile, another 151 cars would be coming out of Grace Prez onto Nicholas, for a total of 450 trying to enter Nicholas. And has already been pointed out, Nicholas is a poorly maintained, small road of 2 lanes. It hasn't been improved since it was built decades ago, and it's great that there's improvements on the books, but it seems to me that this would be better suited for when the improvements are in place. Let's see. Oh, I just wanted to say that I brought this up at the Planning Commission meeting, and there was no response from the commissioners prior to their voting to approve the mosque. And I would hope that if any council member tonight is going to approve this project, that you would address this issue and defend the idea that 450 cars merging onto Nicholas will not pose any safety risk. Next, I just want to say this, and that is that reasonable people in good faith can disagree on any issue, and that includes the mosque. And free people can and should be able to raise issues of concern without being dismissed as bigots, racists, or hate mongers. This is a contemptible tactic, in my opinion, meant to cow critics into silence, and I, for one, hope that it will end tonight. The vast majority of mosque opponents, I know, not all, but the vast majority who have concerns do so based on facts on the ground, and their criticisms deserve to be evaluated by virtue of their substance. Much has been said in this debate about the freedom of religion, and I cherish the Constitution and I support that freedom of religion. But the problem is Islam is unique because it is both a religion and a political ideology, and its politics are supremacist. And I know that there are indeed moderate Muslims, and these people all seem very, very nice, and moderate Muslims reject supremacist politics of Islam. But the problem is, as someone else mentioned, we have no way to know who does and who does not. And to deny this is to deny reality. The imam here has repeatedly asserted that his group is moderate, and I want to believe him. But I believe the old adage that says actions speak loudest. And what do Mr. Harmush's actions say? I find it hard to understand why an imam anxious to illustrate his moderate intentions would refuse on national television to acknowledge that Hamas is a terror organization, which he did 5 times, and you saw it tonight. Pressed later about it, he said it was because he doesn't get involved in politics, but he didn't hesitate to do that in 2009 when he organized the anti-Israeli rally on the intersection of Inez and Rancho. I also wonder why Mr. Harmush chose to invite Los Angeles activist Salim al-Mariyati, who is also here tonight. He acted as a spokesman at their Get to Know the Muslims open house, and he came again to speak at the Planning Commission. And I find Mr. Mariyati's bio and his defense of terrorist groups and extremists pretty troubling. Also, Mr. Harmush had the perfect opportunity to make a public statement of his moderate intentions by signing the Pledge of Friendship that was also talked about earlier. And all that did was simply stipulate that he would reject any teachings of the Quran that advocate abuse or oppression of women, acts of terror, torture for non-believers, or the direction that Sharia law must be forced on all the world. These concern...
Your time is up.
Okay, I just say these are the things that concern me and other people, and they are facts, and I would hope that you would evaluate them on their substance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hussam Alouche, followed by Sana Amani.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor, council members, staff, and community members. My name is Hussam Alouche, and I'm the executive director of the Southern California, or the Greater LA Area Office of the Council on American Islamic Relations CARE, which is the largest American Muslim advocacy group dealing with civil rights and dealing also with promoting a better understanding of American Muslims and Islam. And I hope you pay overtime for your staff, because this is really worth it. I'm really impressed by the perseverance and your wisdom and your patience with everyone here. I have to say I had heard a lot of anti-Muslim things in my life, but not as many in one session. I heard the good, the bad, and the ugly tonight, and I mean good meaning we heard interfaith people expressing the importance of unity. I've heard the bad, I think people who are seriously and genuinely misinformed, and I would refuse to call them bigots, people who have acknowledged again and again, one after the other, we don't know who you are. And I think that's a good acknowledgement, that's a good beginning by acknowledging and recognizing that we don't know, and sometimes we fear what we don't know, and if we don't act upon this fear, this leads to bigotry. And unfortunately, we did hear also people who made anti-Muslim bigoted comment, and it is unfortunate. I will not be here to discuss the decision you made earlier, and then the decision regarding the appeal you will be making later on tonight, because I do trust it will be made on the basis of the merits, the parking, the traffic, the safety, the public safety. As much as we heard from many community members who came in and always proceeded by saying, we're here only about traffic and parking and safety, and we all believe in freedom of religion, but there was always a but. I'm not a racist, I'm not against this group or that group, but when it comes to Muslims, I think if there's a lesson that was learned today, is that definitely the mosque is needed here. There's so much misunderstanding of Islam, misperceptions about Islam. There are 2,000 mosques in America, and these 2,000 mosques are side by side next to churches and synagogues, helping feeding the homeless, providing free health clinics to people, helping educate people. And I think we see tonight that a mosque is definitely needed in our area. It is, I think, a chance tonight, because a decision will be made. And the Muslim community is not going anywhere. The Muslim community is part and parcel of this great country of ours. And they're not going anywhere. Once the decision is made, there would be a mosque. Delayed today, I'm not imposing a decision on you as much as I would like to recommend definitely that the appeal be rejected. But definitely there will be going to be a mosque here. And I think there will be a need for time to heal. I really want to invite the leadership here and the leadership behind me, the religious leadership, the community leadership from all sides, those who oppose and those who agreed. One, I think we should all distance ourselves from those who find it a reason to promote their bigotry, and that's the small minority. The rest, I think most people who are genuinely concerned about traffic maybe, genuinely concerned about what Islam stands for, I think there's a need for healing, to get together. How can we move our communities forward? Because the worst thing we can do is build a mosque and lose our communities. Build a church and lose our communities. So I think really what is needed is to find ways to make sure that our kids, our children, our community members find reasons to visit one another. I really want to invite everyone. I really want to say everything that has been mentioned today that had to do with the funding, Muslims killing lambs, Muslim hating their children, Muslim hating Christians and Jews. There's so much to respond to, and it's unbelievable that in this day and age of information and knowledge, we can be so misinformed, so victimized by fear-mongering. And I really want to invite, and I know I speak on behalf of all Muslims here, all Muslims, we do not hold in our hearts any grudges against anyone. And I know I speak, and I hope I speak on behalf of all Muslims. We forgive for every negative comment that was made because we feel it was made out of ignorance. But we cannot stop there. I really invite everyone to help send the message to the rest of America and to the rest of the world that Temecula actually was the place where it presented what America stands for. Freedom of religion, tolerance, pluralism. I think Temecula did a great thing today. I was interested hearing an Israeli talking about the great Palestinian food, a Palestinian thanking the Israeli in Hebrew, Muslims, Christians, and Jews coming together. So there is a miracle being done in Temecula. Let's finish it with a plan for healing. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Need a motion to go until 3:30.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is that snore a unanimous yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Continue.
Sana Amini, to be followed by Samira Permal.
Good morning. My name is Sana Omini. I had prepared a speech beforehand, but first I had decided to acknowledge a recurring subject of traffic. Traffic should not be the relying factor in this decision. Everywhere in America there is traffic. I'm sure everyone who has gone to or through LA has been stuck in traffic. Does that mean LA should not have been built? A little bit of traffic is no reason to deprive a group of American citizens a place of worship. The Center of ICTV, Islamic Center of Temecula Valley, will not only be a place of worship, it will also hold curriculum that allows knowledge for both the Muslim community and society at large. The contributions our center gives to the society can allow a much closer bonding between the Muslim communities and other faith-based organizations. The center can become a place where those outside of the Muslim community can come to discern their comments or questions and leave full with answers. The center will converge the knowledge and culture of the Muslim community with those who are uncertain of its purpose. Knowledge can be shared within the society, be they Muslims or not, in the Society of Islamic Center of Temecula Valley. Thank you.
Samira Permal, U-R-M-A, I or L, I can't tell. Samira, okay, to be followed by Donna Maxey.
Hi, my name is Samira Pramal. I'm 16 and I attend Chaparral High School. I was born in America, but my Afghan and Muslim culture has been mingled with modern American views, and this allows me to assess both sides of the situation. Muslims who live in the American society come to suburban areas such as Temecula to articulate their sense of religion without urban city distractions. We came in hope of a place befitting a house of God and receive accommodations required in a mosque. We thrive for a place where anyone can learn the tradition and culture of the Muslim world, which was received from our ancestors. The house of God is a sanctuary where people of different cultures can take refuge and practice the worship of God together. The Society of Temecula and Murrieta requires a mosque to satisfy the needs of Muslim Americans living within the area. They call us anti-constitutional, yet they finally reject the part of that very constitution by trying to reject the Muslim religion. If not for the elders of the Muslim community, then at least for the youths who will grow up to be a significant part of the American society. Please allow the constitution of the construction of the mosque for our future. And I'd like to say, for those who are quoting the Quran, to read it before saying anything about it.
Donna Maxey. She left. Okay. Connie Soto. To be followed by Amy. Okay. Then to be followed by Amal Shaker or Shakir.
Before I start, I would like to say that it really takes a lot of composure and a lot of strength and a lot of faith from Jesus Christ, my Savior, to keep me centered, considering all the terrible accusations and vile things that were said about us. I am not a bigot. I was not born in this country. I didn't want to bring that fact up. But I am an immigrant. My family fled communism. We fled the chains of slavery forced upon us by Fidel Castro. And I know what it's like to be persecuted, and I just don't appreciate the vile and disgusting things that were thrown our way. And this was done by Muslims, by a religious group. You claim to be accepting of all, but some of the comments were not very acceptive. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the council, I stand here before you this evening to voice my opposition to the mosque due to a viable threat of historical flooding data that has been submitted to this body on numerous occasions by my friend Adrian McGregor. The historical flood data was given to the city of Temecula by her. This data was given to Councilwoman Mary Ann Edwards, who forwarded all proof to the city attorney, city manager, Sean Nelson, and all city planners. The data presented shows recorded massive flooding. The council, for some reason, decided to build in the floodplain, where no structures should ever be built on Nicholas Road, or more housing along the Temecula Creek or in Old Town, as neither the County of Riverside nor the City of Temecula would be held financially responsible for up any river or downriver damages from additional flooding all the way to the Pacific Ocean, including to Camp Pendleton and the Santa Margarita watershed. The county and the city's response to obligation is that federal flood insurance may be purchased. However, the funding for insurance payment has been depleted since 2007. I believe that the City of Temecula and the County of Riverside are putting properties at risk with potential of loss of life as well. I believe that having witnessed devastation and loss of property along Nicholas Road, that the city of Temecula has omitted known historical flooding data given to them by my friend since 1996 and 1997 which were officially given to them, to the city council woman, Mary Ann Edwards, and ignoring floodplain records for past and might not be providing for public safety where their planning commissioners gave a predetermined decision which has a historical documentation pre-submitted continually since 1996, 97, 2005, 2007 to the city planners, to Susan Jones, the city of Temecula Creek, and all the city council members that catastrophic flooding has happened in the modern era of the Temecula and Merida cities and unincorporated areas, which they have the sphere of influence as well as legal obligation to enter as happening, making 100-year flooding not correct, but nearly the 500-year flooding had occurred. I also want to remind you guys that in 1993 there was a flooding in Old Town, and only 8 inches of rain caused $9 million of damages to Old Town. I'm submitting some photographs that were taken by my friend Bridget of the area in question.
These are the men that are from Con Edison. They asked us if we were city people, and I said, no, we're private, local citizens. This is the car we sat in. We took the pictures. This road is completely blocked to go into the branches in the area, so I don't know what streets they use to get to their homes. Okay. And then this is, and I believe Edison is building a 20-acre facility right across from that. This is the sign that shows the road is a block. There's no access to that road. And then this is the drainage that was clogged on Colibri between the Baptist church and the mosque. And the drain is clogged, and Villalobos had tractors a half a mile down clearing out the main large drain area.
And just one more thing, with the threat of superstorms and inclement weather that is unprecedented due to climate change, I think you should consider all these issues before making your decision. And I'm pretty sure that all this is in vain because you've already made a decision. And I just want to let you know that your constituents will hold you responsible for anything that should occur, and that we have the power to recall you. So remember who you work for and who pays your salary.
Ajmal Shakir, to be followed by Mahmoud Harmush.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff, community members. My name is Ajmal Shaker. I've been a community member for close to 20 years. I was the first graduating class in Murrieta Valley High School. I'm a member of the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley. I also am a member of the building committee and have been part of it since the beginning of the construction phases started. I had prepared notes for the past, for talking points, but after sitting for 8.5 hours, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you and be honest that I was daydreaming or night dreaming or whatever you can call it, and I thought I'd lighten up the mood a little bit. While I was sitting there, I was wondering that it's been, I think, about a week that I haven't figured out what the Lakers, when they've last played, or what the score has been, or if Kobe's been doing well, or just my mind started going outside with all the things that were going back and forth. Having said that, all of a sudden something came to my head, was that last year at the championship time, Kobe was asked what would he, out of all the championships that he won, which one was the most sweetest one that meant the most to him. And he unequivocally mentioned it was the one in 2010 where they were playing their bitter rivals, the Chicago or the Boston Celtics, Game 7 in Los Angeles, down 13 points in the beginning of the fourth quarter, to come back and in front of their home court win it by a few points. The thought came to me that when I was here, along with all the members of our community 4.5 years ago, it's taken almost 4.5 years. If I thought, would it be sweet for us as well going through all this? Would Kobe would have said, would he have said the same exact thing if they would have won it in 4 games? And I asked myself the same thing, would I have thought that this whole process, would it have been as sweet if we would have been approved a year ago or the first year into our planning commission? And my answer would be no. I really think God had a purpose for us going through the entire 4.5 years to get to the point where we're here today. We've gone through everything that we can ever be asked from the city, from the fire department, from the fire departments, from the planning commissions, having to do with flooding, having to do with parking, having to do with construction and colors and coding and this and that. I mean, we've gone through everything. But what it has done at the end is I never would have thought at almost 3 a.m. we're here, and I think our community and our members have become much closer during this entire process. It's brought us more together. It's made us stronger. It's made us reach out more to the community. It's also made us meet new friends, even if the opposition was not in favor of it. At least it's opened up the dialogue that, and throughout the country, that you know, there is ups and downs and things, but you know, I think with communication and understanding and tolerance, we can get through it. But I do humbly ask you, the commission tonight, we've done everything you've asked us to do, and I request that the City Council to approve and uphold the Planning Commission based on December 1st. And we appreciate all your efforts and time and patience tonight. Thank you very much.
Mahmoud Harmush, to be followed by Daniel Mucci. You went home, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't know where to start now. However, I think...
Start at 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Second great workshop in our community as democracy in action. For a second time, I think we are making history in this great city of Temecula, Murrieta area. But I think the achievement of today, at least, could be summarized in the following, at least to my mind, that Islam is a religion. Finally, we've been approved by our friends here and our neighbors. In the Planning Commission, they said, oh, Islam is not a religion, it's a cult. It's a political ideology. So for 1,500 years in the man history, finally we are a religion of peace and harmony and inclusiveness, and for all over the world, for many races, people from all over. Second thing is that we are allowed to have a mosque. Everybody's saying that, yeah, they are okay, let them have a mosque. Yet, Pastor Range said, not in my backyard. For many of them said the same. But what really struck me the most, that thank God, all our friends and our neighbors, they care about us. They care about the safety and the traffic issues. They care about the rain, which is, thank God, we had it this year, and then we have additional issue to talk about, the floods, which is fine. So they care about that as much as anything else in our community. They care about the environment, and we are proud of them too. Whether those who support or who oppose, I personally, as an imam of the Islamic Center for the last 10 years, I thank them so much. In fact, yes, there is so much ignorance, but not due to our lack of communication or reaching out. We had a public forum sponsored by the Interfaith, which we were part of the foundation of it in 2005. We opened the mosque twice this year in particular to invite everyone and welcome our neighbors and friends. We put it in the newspaper. We had plenty of interviews, and we have talked, I personally, in synagogue, churches, and visited places. and even our neighbors, which all what we're asking for here at this time with our friends here is to be good neighbors to each other. I reached out to him personally, and I met with him a couple times. And he said, we are ultimately like water and oil, we cannot mix. Well, we have different views, and I think we have better views. We are of the same family, we belong to the Abrahamic faith, and we have so many commonalities beyond anybody can imagine. I want to thank all and everyone involved in our project, in our community, in our city, and that's why it is so beautiful and nice and safe and great. As one of our children who have participated in naming Chaparral School, graduate from Duke University and work for international financial institution in the United States. My son graduated from the same school, and he went to Columbia University and graduated, and now in a law school, and many other students from Stanford to UCLA to San Diego to any others. You heard some of them today. There is so many other issues on religion. I really did not know that we have so many, we can call them in this case imam or leaders and maybe religious scholars. But one of them demonstrated his hatred, not only to Muslims, to everybody. That did not come from the values and principles of any religion. Personal grudges and negative feelings that could be expressed by Muslims or others, yes, but it's not acceptable in this great country. We do not call for the Sharia implementation in the United States nor anywhere else. We are under the Constitution of the United States, and that's what we honored, and that's what we swear to follow and to abide by. I want to make sure that this country will not come to where it is as in its greatness if it leans toward one side or the other. And yes, we may someday be part of the whole fabric. But at this time, if we are a minority, I think we deserve equal rights like everybody else. The Islamic Center of Temecula Valley has been operating for 12, 13, maybe 15 years. What negativities, what negative impacts we had in the community? Anybody can have pointed out to anything? Yet I'm not excluding that a possibility that somebody will run crazy somewhere and do and misbehave, or a family or a husband or a wife or a son. But it is very dangerous to think that I am giving you a box of chocolate right here, but be careful, there is one poison piece. What you are going to do with that? Are you going to taste every one and then say, well, this one? Or are you going to throw it away? And that's logic is what's working here. Yeah, they seems like good people, but we don't know which one is crazy maybe, or which one will snob, or which one is really not committed or not practicing. I do not know exactly everyone comes to my community and to Islamic Center. I don't really count them as such. We evaluate, expect in our celebration here, 150 more or less, and if a 25,000 square feet is too much, there is houses, personal houses, such as 25,000 square feet. This is for 150 families and their children, and this is for maybe 10, 15 years. Now we mostly use about 50 parking lots and all the other technicalities, which is I am not so good about it, but maybe this is good for another 10, 15 years. Maybe next generation will build something and do something else. Unfortunately, I'm very disappointed that some people call themselves leaders and lived in an Islamic country. They choose to change their faith. They choose to work their way of life. That is their right. We are not denying that to anybody, nor we are doing anything illegal and out of line.
Okay.
We thank you for your support and understanding.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Basir Hamash. Basir. Noor Hamash. No? Okay. Nafisa Larson. Okay. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I've never been late like today. This is my first day. My name is Nafisa Larson, and my name is also Mom. And when Christians want to protect their children, they take them to the church. They teach them good manners, how to respect others. And because I am a mother, and I also want to protect my children in this country, and I am a Muslim, and I'm very proud to be a Muslim, and I'm very proud to be an American, and I'm very proud to be one of Temecula Valley. My children have to learn to worship God so that they will also be good citizens. Please allow us the same rights that other God-fearing people have. And thank you very much. God bless all of us.
Thank you.
Don Colgan, Ernie White, John B. Rogers, Waleed Abdullah, he left, John Spear, Pamela Snyder, Michael Gurgis, Dr. Nisar Ahmed. Okay. Eleanor Rector. Tarek Hamdi. Abdul Hafiz. Okay. Dr. Mustafa Kuko. Pila. Dan Schenfeld. Marilyn Gibson. Melanie Oberg. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Melanie Oberg. I'm from Hesperia, California, and I promise not to go over some of the things that have already been said tonight. I waited here because I do have a message that I wanted to share with you. But first, I just want to say that you just had a perfect opportunity to come up here and denounce Hamas as you've been asked over and over again on national TV by everybody in this room, and instead you've chosen to take the fifth. And you have an opportunity right now to share with us that you are not interested in taking funds from terrorist organizations, and you're still choosing not to do that.
You're supposed to be talking to us.
Okay. I'd like to point out that there's been 16,721 jihadist attacks post 9/11 around the world. So when people come up here and they say that there's only been a few people that are crazy and a few people that go against the grain and there's all these peaceful Muslims, I disagree. I disagree with that. There's been 24 attempted attacks in the United States in the last 24 months and one successful attack from the Muslim community, and that was Fort Hood. And the message that I really want to bring you here tonight is actually from New York City. I'm representing a group of people called the Sacrifice Survivors. They are families of the 9/11 attacks. You have to excuse me, I'm really, really tired. But like I said, I stayed because I really wanted to share this message, and I promised that I would bring that message here tonight, that the people in New York City that are dealing with the atrocity of the Ground Zero Mosque wanted you to know that they support the opposition of this mosque in Temecula. And they want you to know that they appreciate your support of them as well. And they also want you to know that they will be here on March 4th and 5th to share with you the documentary of the hurtful attacks from the Muslim community. And I encourage you all to visit sacrificesurvivors.com, and everybody in this room, you can reach me through there to get some more information. But they're going to be here, and they felt that it was important to fly across the country to let everybody know that this is not a regular mosque like the 2,000 mosques that are around the United States of America. There isn't anybody disputing those mosques. These mosques are completely different. This is exactly what's going on at Ground Zero, is exactly what's going on here in Temecula. And these mega mosques that are popping up all over the United States with these in-your-face propositions, they come out here and they want to put their ideologies right in the middle of a controversy, just like they're doing at Ground Zero, they're doing it here. And then they want to call us the haters. And that's the message that I want to bring to you tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Shakil Patel. Virginia Trudeau. Dwan Porter. Megan Trudeau. Connie Porter. Brooke Trudeau. Donna Lee Chokolek. Anafel Anwad. Saeed Hassan. Ghazi Abdullah. Leilani Alman. Okay.
Was that the last one?
That is the last one.
Whoever you are, we love you.
Okay. And it had to be somebody, so.
Cool. Oh, Nita, oh, do I go? Is that like on? Is like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So anyhow, I grew up in Temecula, and right now I live in Marietta, but yeah, I went to Temecula Valley High School and all that, and I have to say, one thing I learned about Temecula is that it's pretty boring. So that would explain why your Muslim community is actually pretty boring. I've met these people, and like, well, I haven't really met them. I mean, I've checked out their mosque and stuff, you know, I went to their Jummah, and I did all that stuff. And I keep wondering, why do these people make news? Like, seriously, I was at Jummah on Friday, and you know what they were talking about? They were talking about WikiLeaks. They're not even talking about wife beating or like Hamas or terrorism. They were talking about WikiLeaks. And you know what their speech was? It was like something like, okay, everybody, there's going to be an even bigger WikiLeaks here. It's coming up, and it's called the Day of Judgment. So you better watch yourselves, because Allah, you know, He records everything that you do. So there's going to be an even bigger WikiLeaks. I mean, really, this is what they talk about. It's not like terrorism or anything. These people are like totally boring. Like, well, no, that actually was a really cool one. That was like their best sermon I've heard yet. But like, I'm just saying, like, why do they make news? I don't get it. Like, anyhow,
You've been drinking coffee?
Yeah, okay, anyhow.
Whatever she's been drinking, I want some, okay?
No, I just get nervous, you know? Like, I'm just saying, I don't get it. Like, I've seen crazy Muslim people before. Why don't we focus on crazy people? They're not even crazy. But like, okay. Also, people are freaked out about Fajr, I noticed, and that's like the thing I love to crash. It's the morning prayer, and they do that like really super early in the morning. They do that like 6 a.m. or whatever, and I don't get it. Why are people saying there's like a big traffic issue? Because I swear, I love going to Fajr because like the roads are like totally clear. I go from Marietta Hot Springs Road down Margarita Road, like past Chaparral, and there's like no one there. So I'm like, well, what's the big traffic issue? Like, seriously, there's like no one in the area. So like, why are people freaked out that that like one prayer is gonna like create this huge giant traffic issue? Yeah, anyhow, I was also gonna bring up like the call to prayer thing. Like, I know they've been over it and everything, but yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Well, I mean, I don't think it makes sense, because I was listening to this comedian, his name is Ahmed. He's like Egyptian or something. He's like Egyptian American, and yeah, I talk really fast, I know, but anyhow, Ahmed was saying that, like, he was talking about like Bahrain or something, like if you're Muslim and you walk through like some Muslim countries, like all of a sudden, like you'll hear the adhan, like the call to prayer for Isha, and like it's like Allahu Akbar, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 and you look over and it's like a nightclub and it's drowning out the call to prayer. And like if you're Muslim, you have to like decide, do I go clubbing or do I go pray? And see, and like what I'm saying is, it's like the reason to blast the call to prayer is because they're assuming Muslim people are like walking around and they have to like decide. They don't really need to do that, because there's not like Muslim people walking around all over the place. It's not like 99% Muslim. Like they know what time it is to pray. Like you can go on a website and look up the time to pray, and then you can like just like set an alarm clock, and then you'll know like, okay, I have to go to the mosque now. Like they don't have to like blast it or anything. So that kind of like makes sense. You know, like we have modern technology. Like I was gonna like talk to you about like this story I was reading once about like the night prayer, like the not Isha, but the one that comes after that. It's like optional, and it comes before Fajr, and it was like in the 7th century. And there's like these two Muslim guys, and this one Muslim guy's like, okay, I really want to pray Salatul Layl. And so his friend was like, okay, I'll just watch the sky and like I'll wake you up when it's time. And he's like, oh, okay, so he goes to sleep, and you know his friend is like, okay, just keep sleeping, and then he's like waking up, oh, is it time to pray yet? And he starts, no, I'm still watching the sky, and like he goes back to sleep again. Like, is it time? And his friend's like, no, it's not time yet. I'm looking at the sky, it's not time. Okay, go back to sleep, and then all of a sudden, you know, friend's looking at the sky, he's like, okay, it's almost Fajr, wake up now. This is the best time to pray Salatul Layl. He's like, okay, we're gonna pray now. But see, we have modern technology now, so we don't need some guy to like blasting it down for everyone to know and to like stare at the sky all night. Like we have the internet, and we have like alarm clocks and things like that, so you don't have to like blast the call to prayer. Like we have modern technology, and the thing is, you can't blast things in the 7th century. You can't have megaphones or things like that blasting the call to prayer, because it didn't exist back then. So there's nothing in like the tradition of Islam that says that you have to have like megaphones and microphones and whatnot doing that. So yeah, I know.
You make me look calm.
Yeah, I know. It's because like I'm not a good like speaker. I get really nervous. I hope people understood this on like some level. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it. There's no one at Fajr. Like, I don't think that's going to be a big deal, like, seriously. Also, you're working on the assumption that Muslims, like, always pray, and they, like, never do, seriously. They don't pray all 5 prayers. Like, there's, like, 5 guys at Fajr. Like, I showed up there, and they're, like, all old. Like, seriously, they're not going to make, like, a huge deal. They have, like, chairs, because they have, like, arthritis. Like, they...
Well, Lonnie, I could listen to you all night, but unfortunately, your time is up, and
Okay,
thank you very much. Okay, we have no other speakers, is that?
That's correct.
Okay, in that case, I will close the public hearing. Finally, how many hours later? Long
10 minutes to 3.
Okay, I'm just going to open it up for... No, we've got to go. We got more stuff to do yet, don't we? Okay. You have 10 minutes of rebuttal. So,
yes, Mr. Mayor. It's been interesting as I've watched through the evening. And each of you have sagged in your chairs, and I've been feeling for you.
Doing it right now.
And after that last speaker, you're all up and bright and shiny and ready to go. It's like a hot cup of coffee. First of all, I want to clarify a couple things. Councilman Camanchero, you had raised issues about St. Nicholas Church and inquiring about that aspect. There never was, and I hope I didn't make it clear, there never was an application to the Planning Commission that was denied. It was a due diligence conference. I had asked the Planning Commission to see if they could, because I remember signing in, because there was a sign-in at the counter. I remember signing in and talking to people at the Planning Commission as a due diligence before St. Nicholas went into the final negotiations in connection with the property. But if you thought that there was an application that was denied, that was incorrect.
Can I ask you, Mr. Mayor, just because I'm a little confused by the terminology. Planning Commission is a group of 5 members who sit here twice a month.
Sorry, the office, the office at the old City Hall.
A planner.
Planner, yeah.
In the office.
I walked into the office, and
that explains it.
I'm here to do some due diligence on acquiring property on Nicholas Road, and that was a conversation with the office, not an application that was denied. I want to make that clear. Councilwoman Edwards, you had asked issue about notice. When this was first done, there was notice by the staff that this hearing would be either the last week in a meeting in January or in February. The last I had heard was this hearing was going to set the date of the hearing. Yes, I did have actual notice, as council mentions, but it was well inside the 10-day time period. I'm still here. I sat through this like you did. My main issue of notice was there were other members for the Concerned American Citizens that if they got in early, whatever right that might be, that was put on the record to preserve that. Obviously, any issue on notice as to myself, I got here. I think that kind of addresses the issue. One of the concerns I have was the amount of aspect that this appeal was a facade for hatred. 4 decades ago, while I held a combat MOS, I volunteered as a chaplain's assistant. And I had a very nice conversation with the Muslim chaplain. And what most people don't know, a chaplain and his assistant, whether they're Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, or Muslim, when you're on duty, you have to service all religions. You can't do that in good faith and walk away with the hatred that they say is behind this application. You can't, you can't hold a dying soldier who happens to be Muslim and walk away with that kind of hate that is claimed here. I give you my word of honor that appeal is what it was on its face, and there is nothing behind it. There was no ulterior motive in any way, shape, or form. Concerned American Citizens, one of the things that they have tried to do is not do any propaganda, but to do education so people can understand. And members of the Islamic Center have been invited to participate. Nothing in the Nights of Education advocated any hate of any way, shape, or kind. It was attempts to educate. In fact, some of the people, some of the ministers you heard tonight have been presenters at that education. If that were the ulterior motive, I would not have been involved. Okay, let me get to rebuttal. There are 2 primary things that came up in tonight's hearing. The grading, which is indicated has apparently been part of the plans for a long time. I'm concerned about that grading. To raise the subject lot to solve the floodplain issue is going to create an island that's going to shove water to the poor man who came to the Californians meeting asking what are they going to do about the water. That's going to be even worse than what I told him I thought it might be because of the island aspect. It's also going to shove water toward the Calvary Baptist Church. I think that's got to be reviewed. That was a new revelation tonight about that grading. Even though it may have been around in the plans for a while, apparently it didn't get focused. I think that needs to go back and be evaluated. The issue of the community center, I know Ms. Richardson, off the top of his head, gave you his answer of confidence, but if I were in your seat, I'd want that nailed down, and the authorities on that. Those 2 items are new issues that were raised in this hearing. Mr. Nagar, you raised a good issue about the calls to prayer. How do we know if there's a change of mind? I would respectfully submit that in the process of the approval, that needs to be locked down tighter than it is. Council, I agree with Council entirely that based on the approval and based on our LIPA, that if they come back 5 years from now and say it's a tenet of our faith, you're going to be in an awkward position. That's an issue I think that needs to be addressed in order not to turn around and face that. Now, in terms of other issues, the traffic in Cali Medusa, I think that needs to be addressed, quite frankly. I have suggested the traffic light. I think that's a very viable way of handling that. The traffic light where the exit of Cali Calibra and the parking lot of the Presbyterian Church, as well as that intersection. I think that would substantially alleviate the traffic concerns that are at issue. I know I may be barking up the wrong tree in terms of the parking issues that are required, and quite frankly, if I were sitting in your chair, I'd probably say, Mr. Rombach, go tell it to a judge. You know, I don't want to try and venture out on a new plank. You know, go make your arguments in another theater. I understand that. I would still implore you to stop and study that issue. It's going to take some courage. It's not done, but the formulas basically aren't working. It's fairly well established. And I think that needs to be addressed. I thank you for putting up with this whole aspect for so many hours tonight. Your patience has been incredible. I will say your questions have been well-founded. I thought very articulate. Well done from all of you. I thank you for considerations. I don't think it needs to be said that I would hope you would sustain the appeal, or I wouldn't have brought it in the first place. But thank you.
Okay, next we have 10 minutes. Do you just want to do it yourself, or do you want your staff to be with you?
I'll close it myself. Let's go just for 1 minute each, maybe. Mr. Mayor and City Council, I would like to, since my name mentioned so many times and I'm taking it patiently, first I really forgive everyone that's wronged me tonight, and even the media and the newspaper sometimes. But I am proud for 25 years American citizen here in the field of education and religion, and that's my field. Healing and helping and educating and raising children and family and friends and so forth in different institutions, including ours here in Temecula Valley. To switch my hat and put a political or maybe Secretary of State position and go around and just talk about issues that I am really not necessarily uneducated about it, but it's not my field. Like so many reporters and people in this hall and really ask me whether it is political issues, a hot spot in the world, foreign policies and so forth. That is not really what I am interested in. Otherwise, I have been contacted by the State Department to go for the diplomatic field and to maybe pursue a career there, but I chose not to. And to have people just insist on what's your position, this and that and here and there, and today is Tunisia, tomorrow Egypt, the day after that Iraq, and the whole rest of the world, I probably should have chosen that path, but I am not. And if we give some opinion here and there, it is sometimes a statement or words. Those are not the revealed word from God. This is individual persons here. You have here that I have not even coached any of the community members to what to say. We suggested them to stick to the points, and I hope that you have seen that concern toward the point, establishing Islamic Center to serve the religious and social and educational needs for our people in the community here. And finally, I want to say that really the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley will be additional bright light in this great chandeliers of the United States of America and our community, especially here in Temecula, a place that where everybody will be proud of and happy to have in their community members, in their city for their citizen. We thank you all for your understanding, support, and patience to take it that level. It is indeed nowhere else but here in America, and we thank you here for Temecula, making this a history night for generations to come. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you. I'll make it short and brief. First of all, I want to thank I know I'm going away from the microphone. I want to thank the opposition for whatever statement you said. We respect you. That is your constitutional right, whether you agree with us or not. We thank you. We call you brothers and sisters. On the behalf of the Islamic Center of Temecula, as its chairman, you are my brothers and sisters, even though you disagree. That's the beauty of America. Otherwise, if we're not living in America, we'll be killing each other right now. So that's the beauty of it. I do thanks, in particular, the Planning Commission, and in particular, Mr. Richardson, because I know I've gone through this process for the last 2.5 years, and I get so much frustrated. I want to pull my hair. I have no more hair in my head, because I want to report to the community about progress, and sometimes you work so hard, and you only show a little turtle of progress. But I respect that. That's why you built a facility like this. And with God's grace, we'll build a beautiful facility in Temecula. I want to thank you all for your patience. We respect the law and the rules and the regulations. And for the people concerned about calling for the prayer outside, as the chairman of the Islamic Center of Temecula Valley, I will guarantee you that we would not ask for a call for prayer. If you're going to give us approvals outside, we need to respect that. We work with the law, the ordinances of the state and the county and the country, and we respect the Constitution of the United States. I know earlier we mentioned that we'd like to have simultaneous approval. I will withdraw that. I respect that. All you ask is for approval to move forward with phase 1, and we'll work with you to meet the state and the local ordinance and regulations. And thank you very much. I'm looking forward for approval. God bless America.
Peter, before I might as well talk in here. Before I open it up for council discussion, is there any instructions you want to give us?
No, I think at this point in time, you know what the issues are. We've discussed them, and it's up to the council to review the conditions of approval and make your decision as to how to proceed.
Okay. Okay, Mike, you were in the queue first, so.
Yeah, and I'll try to make my my comments brief, to the point, and hopefully we can craft something that works. My opinion on this, it was first and always a land use decision. I know that there was a lot of dialogue here in relation to Islam and all of that, and as the city attorney opined earlier, that's not within our purview to discuss. But I'm going to get to the land use aspect in just one moment, but there is one aspect of that, and that my citizens here, many of the citizens who I serve, and I obviously serve you folks as well, have demonstrated a great deal of fear. Whether the fear is founded or unfounded, out of ignorance, I cannot decide that. There's just a lot of fear. And so I have to say to them, and I do not want you to take offense at this, because I have absolutely no thought of you being a terrorist or a terrorist organization or anything like that. In fact, quite the opposite. But we are a nation of laws. Laws operate. The moment we start deviating from those laws is where you have chaos. If this man's organization is such as some have feared, and again I want to reiterate, I do not think that's the case, then the laws of the city of Temecula, the state of California, the county of Riverside, and the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI will be all over this man, okay? And we will see that that is so. And you as citizens will see that that is so. I'm sorry to have had to say that, but I have to address this fear. So having done that, I want to say one other thing. The topic of radical Islam is one that is happening across the nation. And it's probably a dialogue that I think that needs to happen. There are things that a radical faction of what you believe is operating in, and one only needs to see or envision people jumping out of the World Trade Center because they couldn't breathe and jumping was the better alternative, to sort of have that concern about that radical faction, the underwear bomber, the shoe bomber, the Times Square bomber. I mean, those things are occurring and people have fears and they want to talk about them. On that topic, that's all I have to say because I want to reiterate, I'm addressing the fear. Now, to the land use decision. I think we've narrowed it down and I've sort of made some notes. I've made these notes that say parking, Cali Medusa, floodplain, traffic, call to prayer. That's what I have here. My opinion. They nailed the parking, okay? They're overparked and they went way over and above in their parking requirement. This is a conditional use permit. If at some point in the future that parking becomes more of a problem that wasn't foreseen, we can revisit that permit, and it would be my intention to put that in the conditional use permit, that is something that we would like to look at, let's say in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, whatever the council decides. But please keep something in mind. The size of this mosque is about the same size as the two other churches that are right next door to this. This isn't a mega mosque. That would be miscategorizing this. And they have less parking than this. So I do not want to do anything that we wouldn't do for any organization and pretty much take the religious aspect out of this. So if the other churches are operating under a CUP and they grew to a certain degree where we had to revisit their parking, we would have to do that too. It's just plain and simple. So I would like to at some point revisit the parking. The Cali Medusa issue, let's put that off the last because I think that's probably the biggest issue. The floodplain issue is they're not building in the floodplain. If they cannot get FEMA to agree that it's out of the floodplain, there'll be no building in the floodplain, period. I don't know how many times that can be said. Now, I'm okay with allowing it to go forward and not having them to come back. We're not bureaucrats here. We're not going to make you reapply, repay, come in with a plan and do all that. I think the condition that's in place is more than sufficient. If FEMA, who regulates those things, say that you're out of the floodplain and they meet their criteria, and you meet the criteria of the Temecula Development Code, I don't know how much further we can go. We can opine all we want, but that's the criteria and the laws that are in place. It's hard to deviate from that. So that's my attitude on the floodplain and to the council. The traffic issue, I like the mayor's idea about holding a workshop in the area. There are improvements coming to the area that are going to take care of a lot of problems there on Nicholas Road. They're coming. They're funded. We're out to bid on the Butterfield Stage Road one, or we're going to be out to bid pretty soon. That work's starting. It will be finished, certainly concurrently with this being built. Okay, if I'm going to just guess, if they get approval today, by the time they do improvement plans to build their facility, it will be at least 6 to 7 months. Construction time for Butterfield Stage is what?
Roughly 6 to 12.
There you go. And so by the time construction starts at 1, it looks like Butterfield Stage Road will be way ahead of this construction of this facility. So that'll mitigate that. Also, you have other improvements that are coming to Nicholas Road. We went over them earlier. I'm not going to go over them in detail now. I think we covered them in our opening questions. And you've reiterated the call to prayer in the conditions. I think Mr. Rombach wanted to reemphasize that it's absolutely a waiver of coming back and asking that there be any sort of outside application call to prayer. But I also want to be cautious, okay? Churches have church picnics. Mosques have mosque picnics. If somebody gets out there and they have or they wanted to get a temporary use permit like any other facility, they're going to be allowed to do that. Okay, we don't want to draw these distinctions. So it's a call to reasonableness, but the traditional call to prayer that everybody is familiar with or concerned with, I think that they've agreed to it and we've taken care of it. Now, the traffic on Cali Medusa. Let's address that, Mr. Butler.
Certainly. If I could, Eric, could you put this up on the table there? And George or Arnold, feel free to chime in to support what I'm going to say here. I want to put this into perspective. I don't know if you can zoom in on that photo enough, guys out in the back there. What I'm looking to point out there, Eric, is there are some percentages shown on the roadways. You can show the project site if you would, please. Yeah. Just to your left right there, you see that 74.9? That is the percentage of trips that this project is going to have going that direction. If you push your pencil or your pen a little bit further out to the left, you get all the way out to Winchester. You see 13 up to the right there. You see, what is that, 13.7? 17.7 going that way, and then you go down the other way to Winchester, and there's about 55, 56 going that direction. Now let's circle back and go over to Cali Medusa. What's the number on Cali Medusa? 2%. There's only going to be 2% of the total trips generated by this project traveling down Calle Medusa based on the traffic model that was put together. This is based upon the trip generation for the facility. The total peak hour trips on either a Friday or a Sunday, the two busiest days that they have, are going to be on the order of 150, 156. You're talking 75 in, 75 out.
75 trips, 75 cars.
75 trips per hour. That's peak hour trip. Okay. Are you done? Or?
Typically, we wouldn't require anything less than 100. We wouldn't require a traffic study. We wouldn't even be looking at this.
Okay. So what I want to emphasize is the Cali Medusa area was studied, but it was studied. It was not ignored. And so what I'll also add is we can revisit that in 5 years if it becomes a problem. If it becomes a problem, again, not overemphasizing that it's everybody's problem. When we put, and this is my last comment, the city doesn't do things by accident. When we updated our general plan, and that's something that we do, what is it now, every 10 years? Every 7 to 10 years? We did it last in 2005. We take our land uses and we plug in our land uses as they relate to roads. And the land uses have to be copacetic with the roads. In other words, if we designate that there's certain uses of the land, the roads that accommodate that land have to be sized so that it can accommodate the uses. In other words, we do a traffic study for the whole city. In addition to that, an environmental impact report is done when we do our general plan. That is why you heard a couple of comments that a project this size typically would not require a traffic study because on that level a traffic study has already been done. But in this case they did it anyway just to make sure. So they went over and above. And it's very important that everybody grasp that. So that's all I have to say. I think I've kind of laid it out. I want to hear what my colleagues have to say, but I think I've got a motion crafted somewhere in there. Hurry.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for hanging in there. It's 3:15, and after everything we heard about the Planning Commission meeting, I do want to commend you. I know it got a little heated and there was a lot of passion out there, but I think overall we've come to a good place at the end. I think everyone that wanted to speak had a chance to speak, and you had a chance to say what you thought. Mr. Rombach, I have to compliment you personally because I found you to be your comments were very well thought out. You were courteous. I found nothing objectionable. You didn't, there was no name calling with you. There were no accusations with you. I think you brought forward the items that you had concerns about. And so I want to commend you, just as I want to commend the leaders of the Islamic Center for doing the same thing. So I think you were very civil through all of this. So I want to commend everyone for that. This was a democratic republic at its best, government the closest to its people, and I think it's the best there is. That's why I like local government. Councilmember Nagar covered most everything. Calle Medusa has been an issue for years, since I was on the Planning Commission and before, and that was 1997, and it's because the County of Riverside developed that. They actually built it as a cut-through street, and Temecula doesn't allow that. We don't allow any streets to be built now to be cut-through streets. So while it's difficult to go back and correct something, we can certainly prevent things from happening in the future. And I agree with Mike that, you know, a lot of this stuff is fluid, and we have the ability to come back and work cooperatively with agencies and projects, and we can look at the situations, the current situations, and if things change, we have the ability to go back and look at those, and so I'm certainly willing to do that. As far as the timing is concerned, FEMA is going to take a while. So, and you're not going to be building phase 2 for a while too. So I can see that our road improvements that are planned for Butterfield Stage probably can come together time-wise at a time when everything will come together and we won't see the traffic impacts that you fear. And we've just heard from Greg again that those impacts to Calle Medusa are minimal. So I do feel like we've covered everything, and clearly we could not consider anything other than land use and zoning and things like that, and I feel like that we've been pretty careful to do that according to what the city attorney has told us, so thank you.
I guess I'm up, huh?
No, I was going to just go this way, and you've got a lot, and I don't have that much.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You're supposed to go last as mayor, but you don't want to do that.
I can go anytime I want to.
Yes, he can.
Both of you, would you please get...
Okay, yeah, go to the
I was nice to him when I was mayor.
Well, sometimes. Anyway, just briefly, one of the things I heard was that there was an issue, or maybe could be a problem for the drainage for the neighbor to the north. That was brought up, and I don't think it went any further than that. I'd like staff to look at that and make sure that if